Astra Travelers, and welcome to the Season 7 finale of Tales of Teyvat, a Genshin Lore Podcast. In our last episode, we had Vanessa on to help us counteract all of the hate Tiff gave as we talked about General Goru, though we did not change anyone's opinion. In this episode, we're going back to Sumeru to wrap everything up with a nice, beautiful bow as we discuss Sumeru Awakening in Song of the Welkin Moon, Acts 9 and 10.
Are you ready to get your ermine souls snatched right out of your body yaddy yaddies? Well, zap yourselves right into our website at talesofteyvat.com, where all of our episodes' memories have been captured digitally for your very real eyeballs. Curated by Tiff.
If you like what you see on that page, you should check out our past episodes as well, and our past seasons. Each touch on important topics that we covered, gives links to some of our IRL mentions, and includes artist spotlights from the wonderful, wonderful Genshin community.
Finally, feel free to email Albedo, who is freshly back from Nod Krai, at talesofteyvatpod@gmail.com. Please do not send him any anthrax or lettuce. And you can let him know what you thought of this episode, what topics you'd like to see in Season 8, and any questions you have in general for the hosts of Tales. We're happy to answer any questions, and we're definitely looking for mailed pieces for next season. Travelers can also feel free to check us out on Instagram, Tales of Teyvat Pod, or on Twitter, Tales of Teyvat, where you can also send in your questions or stay in touch with us. We are also on Threads and Blue Sky and YouTube under the same titles. And lastly, travelers can feel free to check us out on Ko-fi, where you can buy us a cup of coffee, or check out our merch store, where all proceeds go to funding the Twink Tank and funding this podcast and making sure that everything can run smoothly and we can continue to share fun, engaging, and sometimes insane lore with Travelers of Teyvat. So, this is a big episode, Song of the Welkin Moons, Acts 9 and 10. This was a shit your pants moment?
Well, first of all, raise your hand if you were shocked that there was even a 9 and 10, because I thought we were done.
My hand is raised. Both my hands are raised. Albedo is raising his hand in the corner, too. And I think even Charles has his hands risen, too. He has no idea what we're even talking about.
He's like, Sumeru.
He's like, what's that?
I was so confused, too, when it was like, all right, this story is going to go to another nation, and not the last one we were in, and not the one we're going to.
Yeah.
Might as well have been in Mondstadt. Like, it was just, well, I mean, that doesn't make any sense to what we go through, but you know what I mean? Like, just for the fact that it, like, traverses, so, you know, a couple nations back.
Yeah, it's like a middle one.
And it really doesn't have anything to do with Nod Krai other than the villain.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Which I am glad to see the story wrapped up. I mean, I think that, for one, the fact what this episode is about, if you haven't done it, you're going to get spoiled, like, starting right now. So there's nothing that we can't not spoil.
Yes. And speaking of spoiling, there's a ton of lore that goes into this episode. And, you know, I was talking with some other friends who play Genshin, and as they were doing this quest, they messaged me and they said, I feel bad for the people who didn't do any of the Sumeru world quests, because they're going to be dazed and confused. People who did all the Sumeru world quests and button mashed were already going to be dazed and confused, but at least they would recognize some of the players that we see.
Well, I think they won't be as rewarded, but when I was looking back and sort of rewatching a lot of this, I felt like they actually did a pretty good job of keeping those world quest moments kind of light or like self-contained and not crucial to like having to know those characters. Like the one exception might be Liloupar, but they gave a bunch of backstory for Liloupar within the quest.
Yeah.
That's true.
I thought they did a good job of like keeping it balanced for people that didn't play it, but also being very rewarding for the people that did.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great way to put it. It is extremely rewarding if you live and breathe these characters and have been as invested as we have. I mean, we've done 3,000. I mean, we're only on like 170 episodes, but we've done 3,000 of them on Sumeru. So, you know.
Don't do the
Yeah.
math at home, guys.
Yeah.
It's not going to make sense.
It'll never make sense.
No.
I mean, will I ever make sense? Don't do that math either.
We do want to provide travelers with a few backstory episodes that might be able to help you in preparation for this episode, or if anything felt confusing for this episode, or if you're a traveler who hasn't done the quests and is thinking, oh, maybe I should wait. There are some episodes that also will just generally help you and help you figure it out. I want to just give a quick prelude, though, to those episodes that some of these are old. First episode we're going to refer to is from season 1, episode 7. So please have grace. Some of these episodes might be a little outdated just because, this whole thing wasn't out yet. And some of the other stuff wasn't out yet either. So a few episodes that really could help you are episode 7 about Collei, episode 15, Sumeru So Far, which sets the scene for the Sumeru Archon Quest originally, episode 26, the Aranara Odyssey, where we cover everything with the Aranara from start to finish, episode 32, Dottore, the second Fatui Harbinger. This is where we really cemented my hate for him, and some backstory with Zandik. In episode 34, you have Gods of the Desert. Episode 54, Liloupar and the Fall of Gorabad. Episode 64, Remnants of Gorabad. Episode 78, The Temple of Silence. Episode 85, Pariland, where we meet Sorush. Episode 105, The Golden Slumber, the first part of Jeht's story quests. Episode 116 with Nahida, which goes into some backstory with a pep. Episode 129, Nod Krai's New Moon, which really just wraps up where we leave Nod Krai and Dottore. Episode 136, Moika the Pyro Archon. We did briefly mention this storyline in our episode with Melty, but if you want some backstory on Moika and what's going on with her gnosis, which could help, you can check out that episode. And then episode 138, one of our most recent episodes, The Dirge of Bilquis, which was Jeht's finalization for her story quest. So as you can see, there's a lot of world quests that go into this.
I mean, this very much felt like the Sumeru finale in a way. Like it's like the real Sumeru finale, because everything comes together and it feels like, maybe not everything, but they tied up almost every open storyline with a neat little bow. I'm sure there's still more to come with Sumeru, but in terms of like everything that has come before, it's all been kind of wrapped up.
Yeah, definitely.
And that was very exciting. And it makes me wonder if they're going to do that with other nations.
That would be awesome. I mean, we still have some questions from some other places too.
Oh my God. Inazuma, there's so much that needs to like get tied up in Inazuma.
Oh yeah.
I love though that, like you said, like this is tying up a lot of those little pieces and stuff, but there were some things that we had to infer based on the lore that we had. And there are some things that I was like shocked. I went, wait, excuse me? What happened there? Especially with my love Nabu Malakata. I was like, huh?
Yeah.
Like we had to infer because we didn't know, and now knowing, and they like kind of throw it out. And I think that goes back to what you said, B, where if you didn't do it, you got some of that info for you. But if you were rewarded with the truth.
Yeah, totally.
I also want to add that this was one of those quests that was like 7 hours long, but it didn't feel 7 hours long as you were doing it. I can remember doing it, and at the time Tiff hadn't done it, but Brandon had. And I was like live tweeting Brandon, as I do, the whole time. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm going to be able to finish it tonight. Like, I'm going to come back to it tomorrow. And then I messaged you at like 4:15 in the morning and was like, oh my God, that was wild. It definitely was something that just grabbed your attention right from the start. I mean, even in the previews for it, the second you saw Collei on that like event promo, you were like, oh no, what are they doing to my girl?
Yeah. What's going to happen to Collei?
Oh my God. Well, let's find out. So the quests, well, I'm just going to call it the quest, but you get it. It's two. There's two quests here, guys. It starts with us in Nod Krai, and the traveler goes to Catherine at the Adventurers Guild, and we've gotten a letter. But before we really can find out more, the screen cuts to Collei, and she's explaining that she's decided to keep a diary, and she's writing in the diary, and that soon she's going shopping with Tighnari. Though she's really confused because who comes to get her to go shopping? Well, it's not Tighnari, but Tighnari's husband's cousin, Sethos.
That was I was like, wait, what? What family tree did we just go down?
I mean, this is the family tree of family trees in this fucking game.
Yeah, so she refers to Tighnari normally as her master because she's learning from him. But yes, so we're like thinking, as the audience, we're thinking Tighnari's going to show up.
And then it's Sethos.
Yeah.
And Collei's like, what? Like, Collei's like the audience, like, what? Wait, what?
And Sethos is very confused by the fact that she's looking for Tighnari. And he's like, why would you need the General Mahamatra? And Collei, much like us, is like, that's Sino.
Yeah.
And Sethos is like, no, Sino is the leader of the Temple of Silence, and he actually just joined the Vahumana Darshan. We're like, what fucking world is this?
What mushroom did we eat?
Yeah. What did Haypasia give me? I love it that her first reaction is, oh my God, they must be playing a prank on me.
Yeah.
I mean, would you have ever for a moment thought this was real?
There was a time when I was just like, it's a dream. The whole thing was a dream.
I just assumed it was a dream at first because we know she has these like crazy dreams. And I mean, it kind of was, this part was a dream, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So at this point, it's kind of suggested to Collei that Sethos is actually the leader of the Forest Rangers. And he's like, come on, let's go shopping. And as we go shopping, we run into Kaveh in Sumeru City. And Collei is just kind of like, oh, thank God, someone, another family member. Here is this is like my brother, uncle, and he's going to help. And we learn that he is Lord Kaveh Bey.
Yeah.
Which, Kaveh, you can't do that. You work at the Twink Tank and get back to fucking work with adventuring. But anyway, he is explained to us as a super wealthy merchant who has it all. In his dreams as well. He mentions that Cyrus has a new student, Layla, and that she has designed the palace of Alcazarzaray, and it really should be put on the current project they're working on instead of whoever this new guy is. When Kaveh sees Collei, he says, oh, look, it's Sethos' trainee. And he mentions like that he gets drinks with Sethos sometimes. And this is when the panic starts to really set in for Collei. She's like, what the fuck? And she kind of freaks out and runs away. And I will say, when Collei runs away, you do see an NPC. It is Dunyarzad. She offers coffee and says that the store is very busy right now. You can like stop and talk to her at the coffee shop. And she is titled as the acting manager of the Puspa Cafe. So then we run into Nilou and Dea, and here Nilou is the flame main and Dea is the dancer.
Yeah.
But even the way they do that too, they're like the flame main, and they're like they show Dea, and then all of a sudden Nilou's like, I really don't know why I got that name. Blah blah blah.
I'm Hydro. That's so odd.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like, maybe it's your hair.
Yeah.
So in this moment, Dea mentions that Sataria is the manager of the dance troupe, but we know that Sataria is actually Azar's left-hand woman. So we're like, that's like the opposite of what she wants to do. Then we run into Layla and Dory, where Dory is a scribe and Layla is a renowned architect. And it is suggested that the two live together and that Layla is struggling to pay bills to Dory. Sounds familiar. And finally, we find Tighnari. And Tighnari is arresting Sorush, who is saying that Tighnari turned the sages against him. And if you don't remember who Sorush is the man who makes the hive mind in Alhetham's story quest. And it just for shits and giggles, if you want to learn more about Sorush, we do have an Alhaitham episode as well, but you can find it on the website. I don't remember the number. Collei approaches Tighnari and is like, Master? And he's like confused. He's like never met her. He's like, oh, Zaha Hadid, who we know as Kave's teacher in the real world, mentioned that Tighnari should get an apprentice, but he didn't know she'd act on it this quickly. And this is when Collei has a full breakdown, which I would have had when Kave had money. And she breaks down to Tighnari about how everything here is wrong. And he says that this is the first time they've ever met, and she just starts crying.
Yeah.
Which meant I started crying.
You started crying this early?
I mean, Collei has been my baby girl since day one of this game. Like, I feel like there are travelers out here who will understand. Like, if you're a Collei fan and you've been a fan of her since the manga and all these changes with her. I mean, since day one of reading, I read the manga probably within a month of playing the game.
Yeah.
You become enthralled with her.
You're invested with her. Yeah. You want to know what happens to her after the manga ends. And then we had to wait so long for Sumeru to come out. And then when we found out she was going to be in Sumeru, we were all like, oh my God, Collei from the manga. So yeah, it just, then like she's put in so much danger in the main, like the first Sumeru story quest that you get even more invested in her. Like,
yeah.
She's one of the characters in the game, maybe like the character who just goes through. I mean, maybe like her and Wanderer, like they just have such a big storyline that just keeps going and going and going.
Yeah.
And they really actually like evolve as characters.
And they're the two that we get to actually see it from, which is like you were saying, it's so rare in this game to actually see that development. It's like, we know like Kaya and Diluc have had a lot of shit happen, but 80% of what we know happened before the game even started.
Yeah.
Albedo, I love him, but he really hasn't had development. He's just had a lot of lore drops. Although he's become more human.
She was in such a fragile place in the manga, and then she literally almost dies in the Sumeru Archon Quest. So she's like been kind of like on the brink so many times, even just like she was very like emotionally disturbed in the manga too. So she's come such a far way in the game. And a lot of that is thanks to the stability of this family dynamic she has with Tighnari and Sino. So to see that sort of pulled out from under her out of nowhere and to watch her like have a panic attack over it, it was really upsetting.
Especially when it's like life is good now. Like she doesn't have Elazar. She knows how to read and write now. Like life is supposed to be better. What's happening?
Yeah.
So as Collei's having her mental breakdown, we hear Tighnari go, what is it? And it breaks Collei out of this nightmare that she was having. And she's like, oh, thank God, it was just a dream. But she hears this mysterious voice in her head, and it says, and yet dreams can sometimes be a warning of things that will soon come to pass. And then the voice comes with a suggestion to tell Lesser Lord Kusanali about what happened. And we find out that she did tell Nahida what happened, and that's why she's writing a letter to us, because she wants us to be in the know as well.
Did you recognize the voice, though? Because it doesn't tell you who it is. But I was like, oh, I was like, hey, Nicole, the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. I was like, Nicole's back in my head again. Yeah. She's everywhere and just in my head.
Yeah, she doesn't need to physically show up anywhere. She just gets right into your brains.
Man, I'm glad she doesn't turn up at less opportunistic moments.
Yeah, she might. She's just a little quiet.
That's so creepy.
You're right? Like, I don't know when she's going to show. She could be watching us right now.
Ugh.
And she's like, yeah, I hear you guys, bitches.
I was just having very like creepy thoughts of like Nicole watching people doing intimate things and like cheering them on. And, like, because she's an angel. She's like, you're doing great. Keep going.
Instead, they just stop.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Those with praise kink are like, yes.
Yeah. Everyone else is like, what the fuck is happening? Who is in my house? But this is when we get a title screen. I don't normally talk about our title screens because they literally just tell you the title. But this one has a glitch. And this was the moment that, because I feel like I was pretty good at not spoiling myself ahead of time. And this was the moment I went, this motherfucker is back. I thought I killed him. I've watched him die. Why
but
is
you
Dottore
knew.
here? No, I pushed that way out of my head.
Because it glitched. Our final screen glitched in our last Archon, too. So we knew something was happening.
But I hate him. I don't want him here.
Yeah.
And I don't want him messing with my homegirl. But whatever. So now it goes back to the Traveler and Paimon. And they're like, oh, poor Collei. What? We should go to Sumeru and check in. So we go to Sumeru and we find Collei and Tighnari. Collei says that as soon as she wrote her letter, she knew that we would come to Sumeru, and her and Tighnari headed to Sumeru City so they could tell Nahida about the dream. And this is when Nahida ordered everyone to leave Sumeru City the next day.
Yeah.
The next day.
It's just cuckoo bananas.
And move to Caravan Ribbit, where Tighnari adds that the evacuation includes the Lokapala jungle, the Avidia forest, the Ashavan realm, and the Ardravi valley. If I pronounce any of that wrong, don't tell me. And also, can you just imagine for a minute, like, let's even look at it more on a micro level, like a smaller level, right? You have a weird dream and you go up to your boss and you're like, hey boss, I had this weird dream. And your boss is like, oh my God, evacuate the office. Everyone work from a different state. Like, we need to go.
I'd be like, yay, telework.
No, you're going to a different office, actually, Brandon. Sorry.
Yeah, they'll be like, oh.
You're going to Michigan to work from that office instead.
And eat lettuce.
And eat all the parasitic lettuce, and which might be anthratic lettuce at this rate. So when Paimon hears this, she says one of the best quotes. She goes, holy smokes. I was like, girl, where do you learn these things? This is when they also know that all sumpter beasts are being used to help with this migration, including Dory's, because apparently that hoe has her own arsenal of sumpter beasts.
She has a sumpter beast like farm. A park. They call it a park. A park of sumpter beasts. Like, she's out there renting out sumpter beasts.
I want to know where this is.
Me too.
Yeah, where can I go pet the sumpter beasts? Because they just like to attack me on the day-to-day.
I wonder if Cyrus the Sumpter Beast was involved.
Let's just make it so.
Yeah. Like, don't you just
It had
feel
to
like
have been.
Cyrus was like at the start of the line?
Oh,
he was
yeah.
like leading the other Sumpter Beasts.
Like, I know which way to go.
I've been through something like this before.
So Tighnari says that basically, once they told Nahida about the dream, she told them, this isn't a dream. This is a warning of something that is to come. And after they had this conversation with Nahida actually called upon the 6 sages. And they all decided together that this dream is likely to become a reality. And that there is some unknown danger approaching that is going to mess with their reality.
This is all very creepy if you remember the trailer for
Sumeru.
I forget which version it was, but the trailer where Collei's having a nightmare that the Irminsul tree is burning and then wakes up from it. And, we know playing the first Archon, Sumeru Archon, that never happened. And so now that they're like, oh yeah, her dream was a vision and it is likely to pass. So it does give you this foreboding feeling of like, well, wait, what about her first dream? Is that one still going to come to pass?
And the first dream of the burning.
Yeah.
But we learn that officially the people of Sumeru have been told that there's a large-scale renovation of the rainforest ecosystem happening. And it's the reason that people have to move. And generally people have believed it, which I wouldn't have believed that. But I'm also a government naysayer. So I would have been very skeptical on this.
Would have been like, when they in like Men in Black, or it's like there was a gas leak.
Yeah, I'm like, no, there wasn't. So we go out and we do see some general chaos happening, and it's really chilling. There's children crying because they can't find their parents. There's this older guy who's getting ready to leave and he cannot find his medication, and it's just like sad and crazy. So Collei and Tighnari tell us that they're going to go help with the evacuation while we go to visit Nahida. When we get to the sanctuary, Nahida's little home, we find out that Sino has said that no one is allowed to enter there and the Matra are not letting us in. Specifically, Matra Mutassim says that the Dendro Archon is in a vulnerable state, and Sino is worried that the enemy will strike at this moment, so they've increased a lot of their defenses. But then they realize that we're the fucking Traveler and Paimon, and we get let in because, you know, we have 19 different titles, and one of them is the first stage of Bure. So we get to go in. When we walk in, we see that Nahida is in a bubble, which is always a good time. And that Cyrus, Sino, Alhaitham, and Nafis are talking. And as soon as we walk in, we can also see that Wanderer is there, and he's closer to Nahida with 2 other NPCs. And a quick recap for travelers who might not remember. Cyrus is a professor, I guess retired at this point, professor of the Spatamod Darshan. He is a mentor to Lisa, and he's a mentor / pseudo-dad to Sino.
And a tomato connoisseur.
And he's a little wild card. Like, his actions are always, he's a chaotic good. Like, everything he does is for the greater good, but he's a little bit of a chaos gremlin. And then you have Nafis. Nafis is the sage of Amerta, which is Tighnari's area. He was Tighnari's mentor as well. He's the one who, you know, they were pretending to be him during the Sumeru Archon Quest to convince Tighnari to join the academia again. Nafis has the best bob in all of Teyvat and the coolest glasses in all of Teyvat. So between Sino and Cyrus, they explain to us that they don't currently know what's happening, but the Nahida thinks this has something to do with Irminsul, and therefore she is connected to Irminsul in order to properly investigate the issue. So, you know, she's gone into the brain. She's looking for the infection.
She plugged in.
Nafis re-explains like the concept of Irminsul to us, which I thought was a nice touch. Like, this is an example of them making sure people who don't remember the lore as well are like still kept up to speed on what's happening. But he also, when he re-explains it, it kind of underlines this theory that a lot of people have that Irminsul is basically a computer. Like, it's very computer themed. Because he says it's a central hub where the ley lines converge, and its core function is to record and store the world's memories. And he tells us that something has gone, you know, awry, and that the information is bottlenecking inside Irminsul, hampering the ley lines flow. And if this continues, new information will languish unrecorded, and existing records will be thrown into disarray. So it's just very computer sounding.
Yeah. Which is a little scary because I'm like, ooh, a tree computer? Ugh, sounds worse than lettuce parasites.
And it just makes you think of like Nahida's attack where she's like jumping on a keyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, you know, we had AI dragons, so now we have the computer mainframe that was like running all of it.
And it's a fucking tree. At least make it a rock or something. I don't know. The tree bothers me.
Why? It's the tree of life.
Because that's it. Trees are supposed to be like the most natural thing.
Oh, so you don't like the computerish side of it?
Yeah, like I'm fine with I liked when Irminsul was like this magical tree of nature.
Gotcha.
That almost like she was like Mother Nature. I kind of saw Irminsul as.
Okay, I get that.
So I was like, oh no, technology. So after Nafis explains all the stuff about Irminsul to us, Alhaitham adds that this means that the dead will be stranded and the world of the living will have their memories warped. Hence Collei's dream. This makes the traveler reflect on Capitano, who said he was using his death to open the gates of the ley lines to the people who were in his soul. Remember, he had souls in his heart. And by making his deal with Renova, he was able to return them to the ley lines. And the traveler remembers that this was really the only situation that she's seen this in. And then if all of Teyvat were to have an issue like that, things could go really bad really quickly. And just be terrible. Like lost souls, evil things, yada yada. Nafis also adds at this point that Nahida's currently doing the recording and processing function of Irminsul herself, so girl's got 7 jobs, through this connection. And Cyrus says that even for a god, being exposed to all those memories and people's life details is probably super painful.
Yeah, because brains aren't meant to process that much information.
No, sometimes we can't process what happens in our day-to-day.
Never mind everybody else's day-to-day.
Yeah.
It made me think of the professor in X-Men when he's using his little machine to try and find all of the people. all the different like mutants and stuff like that. And he's like basically got a big old headache listening to everybody in the world.
Oh, yeah.
Like I completely pictured her with the helmet and stuff.
I'm just picturing Nahida bald now.
No. So Wanderer jumps in at this point. He says that he sees no signs of Irminsul being attacked from the outside so far. And they all question if this could be something happening inside of Irminsul instead.
The call is coming from inside the tree.
And Cyrus suggests that this would have destroyed Irminsul long ago if it had been something that was there for a long time. Cyno, however, seems a little off, in my opinion. I'm sure there's a lot going on in his brain. He's worried about his husband, his daughter. You know, she just had this dream that was a warning, and now he has to work the whole time. And he mentions that, you know, there was a large group of merchants that had been seen entering Sumeru near Beta Harbor, and that's like the harbor up north. And Cyno mentions that he sent people to investigate them, thinking that maybe it had something to do with this. But now he thinks maybe that was just a setup or a diversion, though he doesn't really get to say why he thinks that, because Wanderer is like, why do we care about this? We've gone 12 hours with no new intel. We haven't talked to Nahida, and things in there must be wrecked. Like, we need to just focus on fixing it and not finding out who the culprit is. And as he says that, Nahida collapses out of her bubble.
She pops and drops.
Oh my god. Naphis runs and is first by her side, checks on her, says her breathing and her elemental energy levels are low. And this is when Alhaitham says it's time for them to use their backup plan, which is to leave the city with Nahida, because clearly the entrance to Irminsul that is right under the sanctuary is ground zero. And if anything's going to happen, it's going to happen here, and we need to get our god to safety. We go to do it, and Traveler carries Nahida on their back, and we then send Nahida with Hack Guy later on, and we're left with Naphis, Cyrus, and Alhaitham. And then we travel to Caravan Ribbit together. And this is when we meet Pantalone. But we don't know it's Pantalone yet.
Did we? Did we not know that it was Pantalone?
We're not supposed to know.
But you knew, right?
Is it Pantalone or Pantalone?
It's Pantalone.
Ugh. Okay. Why are they all like that?
They're Italian. Pantalone.
Not Tartags.
That's Italian.
Yeah, but he doesn't have the A.
Tartaglia?
Okay, yeah, because it doesn't end in an E, you mean?
Yeah, Tartaggles.
Tartaggles, that's cute.
I can't
Little
wait to see his hometown. So we see Pantalone, but we don't quote unquote know it's him. We don't get an official introduction, and there is a hood over his face, technically. Although who else would talk with that level of sass? And he's doing some bad shit with Dottore mechs. And he says, they say that fervent ambition attracts the favor of the gods, and with it a vision, but we appear to be the exception. So is our ambition not strong enough, or does it threaten the very foundations of this world? So he's a little bitter.
Yeah, he's like, I should have a vision.
And because I don't, I am obviously too strong, and the gods are scared of me. I'm like, okay.
He's like the anti-pick-me girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're not going to pick me? Well, guess what?
That's fine. We really don't find out exactly what they're up to, but that he knows there's something wrong with Irminsul, and he knows it won't impact whatever they are working on. And then we cut back to Caravan Ribbit, and there, Ribbit?
Every time I hear Ribbit, in my head, I pronounce it all the time. Ribbit. I become a frog. I don't know.
So we go to Caravan Ribbot, and we see Kaveh and Alhaitham, and they're talking about rent. And Alhaitham agrees in this conversation that he'll cut off part of the rent because of their relocation, you know? He's like, I understand, like, we're not going to be at the house the whole month. Like, you don't have to pay your whole 2K. And Kaveh's a little sus of him being so easy about this. And I personally saw this as, like, suggesting that Alhaitham doesn't think they'll make it home. Like, I think in his head, he's thinking this is going to go south, and he doesn't necessarily want to say that to Kaveh. And he's making light of the situation to try to, like, keep Kaveh a little, like, cheerier and chippier. And he's like, yeah, I'm always flexible about the rent stuff. Like, what are you talking about? And Kave's like, yo, that's not true, A. But he's also very concerned that someone's going to rob them since they're not home.
I mean, it's a real threat.
It is. You know, it's in any crisis, there's always going to be people who take advantage.
There's always looters.
He probably thinks it's Dory, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dory's going to come take my final pennies.
Yeah, my piggy bank that has 10 cents in it.
Yeah. If you explored before talking to Sino and them, you also can see Karkata in box form with a bunch of scholars staring at it, trying to figure out what it is. You see Kamal, who's the Adventurers Guild branch manager in Sumeru, and he's talking to Rahman, which is Dea's friend. And you can see Wanderer, and he's like, I don't know who could have done this besides someone who's dead. And we're like, yeah, hint number 2, Dottore is involved. And then eventually after you wander around, you could go find Sino, Tighnari, and Collei. Tighnari is playing doctor for Nahida and says his remedies haven't really done anything. He says, quote unquote, her condition is partly due to Irminsul's influence and partly due to a physiological imbalance caused by a rapid depletion of her power. Sino relates this back to the ley lines, who could quickly gain their vitality back if blockages and pollutants are dealt with. And Tighnari comments that we can't really heal Nahida if we can't heal Irminsul, which is terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do without her and to begin with. Like, they feel like they really need Nahida to fix Irminsul here.
It's really interesting to me that a god whose power is depleted suffers, like their body suffers, like it's almost like withdrawal or something. But it makes me wonder if they're going to use that again in a future story, because that to me is like a guaranteed weakness of a god. So if anyone is like going to fight them, they come up with a way to remove their elemental energy from their bodies, then it basically takes them out of commission.
Yeah. We recently saw that in Fontaine, which we'll talk more about this next season. But in Fontaine, we find out that like when Columbina isn't around the Kuhenki, she doesn't have as much power, but it doesn't really mess with her body. I guess that's because she's a moon and not a Gnosis-bearing Archon, right? But similar ideas. I will say at this point, I was like, why isn't the Traveler just touching Nahida and cleansing her? Like, it kind of felt like a why don't we try that moment to me.
Yeah, but I guess she's not really corrupted, right?
But it was giving that vibe, which is like, it's worth a shot. Trying to uncorrupt her isn't going to hurt her.
Yeah.
I mean, he could at least, or she could at least try to like zap some elemental energy into her body.
Yeah. I mean, we used to keep moon marrow up our booty hole. Like, we could do so much.
Yeah. Why not just get all the Dendro users and like in a circle around her and just like channel their energy?
Like the Care Bears.
Yeah, Care Bear stare.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of like when you fight Zane, the Dendro hypostasis, and like you have to use Dendro to calm its core. But I like the Care Bears.
It's the Care Bear stare.
But this is the moment where Nafis and the other sages show up. And we did not make this joke to begin with. I don't know who the first person was to make it, but thank you to whoever you were who said that these sages were just the fucking Power Rangers. Thank you. It is amazing. There are so many memes about it. And so Nafis and the other Power Rangers show up.
It's so good.
Now, we do get told a little bit that, there are some guys who are considered the old guard, and they are the people who were involved as sages prior to the Sumeru Archon Quest, and then there's some people who aren't old guard, and they're the people who have taken over for the sages that were working with Azar during the Sumeru Archon Quest. So we know we have Nafis. He is the sage of Emerta, aka Tighnari's area.
AKA biology.
And Green. The Green Power Ranger.
The green one.
Green Power Ranger.
I appreciate that they all wear their colors.
And he is one of the old guard.
And he's the current Grand Sage, right?
Yes, Queen. Yes, you and your Bob are in control. You meet Baladhuri. Again, guys, give me grace. He is the Vahumana Sage and also a member of the Old Guard. What color is he, Tiff?
He is yellow. And he's got, because I also have my little notes for everybody. Is like I have comparisons. Like Nafis to me is always John Lennon because of his John Lennon glasses. But Baladhuri has like this like curly beard. So I just kept calling him like curly guy.
Ballad Curly.
Or Balacurly.
Tighnari actually calls him uncle, which I thought was cute. And he also mentions that his daughter is really good friends with Isaac.
Oh,
You know, our drag kid from Sumeru. And that he told his daughter he would get a picture together with us. So we're going to be taking photo ops later.
That's so
I
cute.
love that they're like, when we're not about to die, can we just snap a few pictures?
And we're like, yes.
Now, do you think that
absolutely.
his daughter is friends with Isaac, like, because they're friends, or is she just trying to surround herself with celebrities? Because Isaac is like one of the saviors of Sumeru.
He is.
Yeah.
He's the savior. He's the Nahida body double. I'm honestly surprised we didn't like sacrifice him for something in this. Our next sage is Alkindi, who is the sage of Svatamad.
Elementalism.
And he is red. And he looks like Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
Oh my god, yes he does.
Yeah, he's wearing goggles straight up. And he's looking for Cyrus when we meet him. And we find out that like Cyrus went to investigate something on his own. And he's mad at Cyrus for doing that at his age. And he's like, I'm going to have to go look for him later. Ugh.
And he's basically full like in Cyrus's old position, right? Before Cyrus retired.
You're right. He's the former sage. Then you have Furnas, who is the... What?
I'm sorry, this fucking guy is ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. This is your Kasharwar guy.
He's wearing a full fucking helmet, like a full face helmet.
And his helmet kind of looks like a furnace.
It does.
In case you have trouble remembering his name.
But from behind, he looks like Dr. Ratio from Star Rail.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I thought so.
Oh.
Furnace, he does something stupid later too, where he just became my favorite. I mean, he's wearing a fucking helmet. He's so
He looks
dumb.
hilarious.
It's so funny. But he's white, which kind of looks gray because, you know, white would get too dirty. He's the white Power Ranger. And that's technology and Kaveh.
Yes. And he, in my opinion, looks like Dr. Ratio from behind, which I think is funny because Dr. Ratio in Honkai Star Rail wears a stone mask or a stone head
Oh my God.
at times.
That's
so,
hysterical.
yeah, I was like, oh.
I love it.
Adventuring, leave Twink Tank, come find your man. Then we have Shakir, who is the Ratawa Darshan's sage. He is wearing very big glasses.
He's wearing, are they big glasses?
They're very fashion. He's
Yeah,
giving
he's very
Naphis a run
fashion.
for his money. I think Naphis has created some kind of eyewear culture among the sages because like Alkindi has his goggles.
Mm-hmm.
Shakir has these like really fancy frames.
So
And-
he's the long hair. He's like, I'm
Yeah.
fabulous.
But Fairness is like, bitch, I got a whole helmet on.
You cannot compete with me.
Poor Baladuri, it's like, I just have this curly beard.
Yeah, my beard just curled up. It's a little frizzy out here.
He's like, I'm gonna grow my beard out and turn it into eyewear.
No. And then last but not least, you have Rusht, who is the Haravatat sage.
And he is wearing he's wearing black and he looks like the Wizard of Oz.
Oh my God, stop. And he's got
Also
little
has-
baby glasses on.
Yeah. Also has glasses.
And so these are our Power Rangers. These are our, I guess, the smartest men in Sumeru. Note that there's not a woman sage.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Can I be honest about that? I think that the women are too smart to become sages. And I think like Zahad Hadid, Kabe's mentor, is like a great example of that. Like, she's like, I'm not getting involved in that bullshit. They tried to make a god. I don't trust any of them anymore. Like, I'm going to grow tomatoes and teach. This is when Naphis is like, all right, guys, so we cannot keep everyone here in Caravan Ribbit forever, and we need to make a game plan. What are we going to do? And Furnace agrees. He says that it really seems like Irminsul's malfunctioning like a machine. So we're back to that comparison. And now that it's gone haywire and has sparks flying everywhere, we can only really fix it if we know exactly what is happening. Alkindi suggests gathering info from the ley lines and assumes that might be why Cyrus went off on his own and rolls his eyes a little bit at him again. Rusht says that we may need a backup plan in case Irminsul becomes completely destroyed. And Shakir talks to Collei and asks her to talk about her nightmares in more detail. And she agrees to do so because she thinks it's going to help. But, when that happens, Tighnari seems a little lost in thought. I think one of the things that was really cool about this quest is getting to see everyone shook. We really get to see some characters who have always kept their calm demeanors a little shaken here. I mean, I know I noted earlier that Alhaitham seemed unsure. Tighnari now is seeing not himself. Cyno seems not himself. These are characters we've always seen as just like strong, tall people, and they're a little shaken right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at one point, Collei even says, is thinking to herself, oh my gosh, I've never seen Tighnari so scared before.
Yes, my baby. I'm hugging him close right now. So then Furness is like, this kind of seems like a stress fracture. Like maybe that's what we're dealing with, like an Irminsul stress fracture. But Alkindi thinks that would end up leading to a complete shutdown. And it's really not the chaos that they're seeing. And this is when a member of the Corpse 30 walks over and interrupts them and lets us know that some people have returned home to the city because they just don't believe there's an actual danger. And I'm like, bro, the whole fucking Power Rangers showed up.
Mm-hmm.
How can you not think there's a danger?
It feels real. I'm like, that would totally happen.
I mean, where
it's
we
like
are
when there's a
hurricane. Yeah. How many times? Like that's one of the biggest things that why there was so much like destruction with the superstorm Sandy is because the hurricane before everybody was like, oh, it's gonna be fine. And it was fine. Like the one before that was like nothing. So they stayed home or they went back and then they were flooded out.
Yeah. So there's about a dozen people who have gone back despite the hurricane warning. And these people have been found and they're suffering from some crazy psychosis. And when they were found, they were trying to kill one another. And by the time that the people arrived to get them, only 2 were alive. One was unconscious and the one that was awake tried to attack the core 30. And this happened near the Yasna Monument, which is close to where we are. And Nafis says it feels like we're being chased by all this craziness. And apparently Cyrus said the same thing when the Core 30 member was talking with him. So we decide to go with Cyno and Alkindi to check on Cyrus. But before we leave, there's a few things we get to do and things you get to check out. We could see 3 of the sages discussing a possible new move to Aru Village and how we would need a lot of supplies for that. We could see Collei talking with Shakir, admitting to having another very vivid dream that involved fire and was super hot. And she remembered ash blowing in the wind. Irminsul, her OG dream we saw. And we also could see Tighnari and Nafis talking. And Nafis is being very grateful to Tighnari. But Tighnari says that he seems nervous to Nafis. He's like, Master, you seem nervous. And this is when Nafis says he was only just appointed as Grand Sage. So this is all overwhelming for him. And Nafis mentions everything with Azar and how he didn't think he did a good job, with Azar, and he let everything happen. And now he feels like we've already lost 10 people, like these guys that just died at the monument. And he's blaming himself as a leader, which was very real. It was nice to see like an NPC leader in this game that was very like, I'm a bad leader and I'm just continuing. And Tighnari's like, no, perfection isn't possible, is what Tighnari says. And this is when Nafis mentions that they may have to go to the desert soon. And he's basically like, are you going to be good with that, bro? Because as we know, Tighnari's not great in the desert. And he's like, yeah, I didn't bring any suntan lotion because it was a quick move, but we can make some. And, that was part of my thesis, so it'll be fine. And Nafis mentions how Tighnari refused to be his apprentice and how so many people would have died for that job. And he says he could have held his thesis and kept him from graduating when he refused to be his apprentice. But Tighnari said he wouldn't let his master be led astray and would have reported him to the Matra. And Nafis is really proud about that. So it was a cute little, almost like father-son moment we had with them. So then we leave and we go to find Cyrus, and he's with the Core 30 people, warning him to not get closer to the city. The mentally ill man that we meet, who is going through psychosis, is Tawfiq. And he threatens to gut us all. And he seems a little glitchy. And this is when Cyrus shows us a ley line blossom and tells us flowers blooming from openings in the ley lines indicate an anomaly. I found this interesting since we always see leyline blossoms when we need to fight for Mora and Hero's Wit. So like all those things are anomalies apparently.
Yeah.
Well, this one was a
sense.
little different though. It had some like sparklies.
Yeah, but just interesting that like all blooms are technically an anomaly. And we're just finding that out.
Stygian, Onslaught, that's
Yeah.
like a bloom. It makes sense to me. I almost see it, like think of it as like an inflammation where
Like a
it's
boil?
yeah.
I'm dead.
Think of that the next time you go fight one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go lance this boil
It's
over
like-
here.
Yeah. That's basically what we're doing. We gotta like open it up and release the pressure.
Ew.
Put some cream on it and like
Oh,
let it go
never
back
doing
down.
ley lines again.
Dr. Pimple Popper over here.
Yeah, that's basically what we're doing. Like at one point, we're gonna get a character whose weapon is tweezers.
I can't. Oh,
So anyway, this is when Al-Kindi says he's never seen one in this color, and I was like, of course you haven't. It's Dottore glitch colored. So then one of the core 30 members, Skura, shows us even more of these Dottore glitch colored blooms. She explains that if you go further than where they are, delusions will start to affect you as well. You'll start to see and hear things. But some people who had visions were able to maintain their sanity better. So like, if you want to check it out, good luck. And I'm like, great. And this is when Cyrus is like, I taught a class on dissecting leyline blossoms, and we're going to dissect this one right now. Be ready to use your education, boys and girls. And so while they do that, we decide to go ahead. We aren't in Irminsul, so we shouldn't really be impacted much by like whatever's happening. So we'll divide and conquer, and we'll meet them back at Caravan Ribbit. Traveler
Ribbit.
rabbit.
Traveler notes that there's a dark sky, thinking maybe a storm is coming, and notes that a lot of the animals from the rainforest are fleeing too. And this leads Traveler to a memory of our trip with Nahida to help Apep with her powers with the fire seed. And this is when Traveler's like, yes, we need to go talk to Apep, and we need her fire seed.
Yes.
Which I'm like, ooh, okay.
Oh, do
I would rather not, but
we?
And I love it that Traveler's like, if we can use Apep's Heart of Oasis, we can replenish Nahida's Dendro energy without Irminsul. And I'm like, but why didn't the Dendro characters just try it?
yes, again, why didn't the Care Bears?
Yeah, why no one did the Care Bear stare?
So this is when we return, and we see a lot of our friends in Caravan Ribbit. We see Kaveh, Alhaitham, Dea, Tighnari, Sino, Sethos. And they tell us that when Cyrus dissected the leyline blossom, they found out that the anomaly is not rejecting access from the outside, and that we could possibly connect to Irminsul using our Akasha terminals if we still had them.
Did you notice the word dissected? I bet they use tweezers.
Oh, a scalpel.
Ah.
Mhm.
Though the Akasha terminal was shut down, the infrastructure is still there. And Kaveh notes that Alhaitham totally read all of the instruction manuals because he has no life, so we wouldn't know how to use it. However, none of us have our Akashas, and we can't go back to turn the system back on. Though Kaveh's like, guys, but if we tried, I think between all of us, we could get it up and running. And this is when Traveler is like, but don't we need a Gnosis for that to run? And Tighnari's like, oh, yeah, because a plot twist, if everyone doesn't remember, we don't have a Dendronosis. We gave it to Dottore in hopes that he would delete all of his segments. And we also gave him the Electronosis to get info on us being a Descender. So there is no Gnosis to be found in Sumeru.
No, cease.
No bitches, no Gnosis.
Mm-hmm.
So Tighnari's like, I guess we'll need to find an alternative. And this is when Sethos recommends that we go to the Temple of Silence and try to find an answer there. So Tighnari says, all right, scholars and sages are going to go to the temple and civilians are going to go to Aru village because we have to move. Things are coming too close here. The Aramites are going to keep everyone safe on the journey, and Candace will be meeting them there. And this is when we bring up our idea about Apep. Tighnari thinks it should be feasible, but Alhaitham is like, good luck convincing her to hell.
Yeah.
Yeah. That bitch don't like nobody.
But Traveler's like, I fucking got this. So Tighnari's like, listen, as long as Nafis approves, we'll break into the following groups. The Temple of Silence group, which is our scholars and sages. The Civilian and Aramites group going to Aru village. And Fiendster... Just Amanda, guys. No other
Nobody
traveler,
else.
just Amanda. And the traveler, Paimon and Nahida going to a PEP. And of course, this gets approved.
Yeah. And I guess we're just carrying her.
Yeah.
On our back, as per usual. You know, Paimon's like playing with her hair the whole time.
Mhm.
Before we leave, Sino leaves us with parting words. He says, "No matter the distance between us, there will always be an invisible force tying us together. May the bonds forged in the past shine bright like stars and open a new path before our feet." And I was like, damn, man, that was beautiful. And Tighnari goes, "Is that from King of Invocations?"
And he says, "No, it is not."
It's from the sequel.
Little bitch.
Which, by the way, Sino says the sequel is much cooler, and Setho agrees with him.
Yeah, I love that. Like Kaveh is like, what's the difference? And Sino's like, the sequel is much cooler. And I was like this quest line, because this is the sequel to the
Oh,
original
right.
Archon.
And this is when Tighnari does say he gives in a little bit to his husband. And he goes, "When this is all over, I'm going to gift everyone both copies, the original and the sequel, to express my gratitude to all of you for helping." And I'm like, oh boy, we're all
We're
getting
all like,
books.
yay.
Yeah. And Sino meanwhile was like, yes, yes, yes. In the corner, he's like, "I can add more to my collection. I will get book covers. It'll be great." So Nafis approves of our plan. He said the people need to rest, and he sends us ahead. And he says, "See you at the Temple of Silence when you're all done."
But right before we leave to head out and find a PEP, Collei shows up.
Oh, baby girl.
And she wants to ask us for advice on how to be helpful.
Hmm.
And she feels bad bringing up the problem at hand, but not knowing how to help out with it. And Paimon tells her that she knows exactly how she feels and offers to share Paimon's notes, Sumeru chapter, because
Since
apparently
when?
she's been keeping a journal of all of our adventures.
Since when? Since when? When I didn't even know Paimon could write.
It's when we're sleeping.
Yeah.
I didn't know Paimon could write.
I know she can read. I've never seen her write anything. She loves her books.
When we question Paimon about this, she says, "Humph," and tells us being the greatest guide in Teyvat isn't just a fancy title. It involves hard work.
Mhm.
And she offers a copy of the guide to Collei and tells us that it's her spare because she made sure to have a backup for the traveler because she's worried that one day we wouldn't need a guide anymore, which is so sad.
Did we pause for a minute? She had time to write 2 guides?
Yeah.
Like she's handwriting
Well,
this.
she was
There's-
just copying it.
But this isn't like she's printing a Google Doc. Like this, she's handwriting this.
Maybe
And,
there's a printer up her ass.
maybe. But this is like how many years? She's
Maybe
like,
she hired
yeah.
someone to copy it.
how big do you think this book is?
I mean,
It's probably like stick figures with
Yeah.
like simple captions.
well, hieroglyphics.
She does say it's simplified so anyone can understand them.
It looks like Klee's book.
Yeah.
No, I want to see this so bad. Like I want to see this fucking book.
Yeah. But it's so like, she's like, well, I was afraid that you wouldn't need me anymore. So I made 2 books this way you could have one and I could have one. But never mind, you can't get rid of me now. We have too much ahead of us.
Now, she made this because she's worried one day we wouldn't need a guide anymore. So she wanted to have a gift for us if we ever parted ways. And this harkens back to that one time. Remember when Paimon, this is like early in the game, I think, where she kind of hinted that she might not be with us one day.
Hmm.
Do you remember that?
Yes.
And in light of the Snezhnaya trailer, because we are recording this shortly before Snezhnaya is released,
Hmm.
I'm scared because in the Snezhnaya trailer, Renova is totally firing a beam of doom at Paimon,
Which
who is
like,
unconscious.
why are we focusing on the babies, Renova? You had a Dottore. You had a Dottore. You could have fired that at.
Yeah.
Like, Renova's on my shit list. Sorry.
Yeah, I have a feeling she's going to be like big time villain.
Like, why
Yeah.
do I all of a sudden like, and I cannot believe I'm gonna say this, but like, I feel like I might like gold more than her right now.
Ooh.
Like if I had to list my favorite shades of shades of Irminsul, shades of the primordial one, I think Renova's last right now. But gold should be last anyway.
Gold will be the one that brings Paimon back to life after Renova kills her.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna be like, shit. I guess I have to enjoy her now.
Nefarious is doing good things for her.
No. So yeah, so the copy is gifted to Collei, who is very grateful. And as we're walking there, Paimon's like, we probably could have brought Nouvelette. And then she's like, wait. No, he's too close with humans. A Pep would probably fight him.
Yeah.
So we are carrying Nahida on our back as we go to see a Pep. And she expected us. She said the ley lines were array, and she suspected that something was up with Irminsul and that we would be coming. And we kind of explain our situation. And a Pep's like, so why should it help the Archons when all the Archons took my powers? Like, do you remember the dragons or, the primordial one, Goop, Gnosis? Why am I helping you?
I wish we could see her up close.
Yeah, not just through the shadowy sand.
She looks so cool.
She looks a little bit like a centipede, so maybe it's actually okay. In my mind, too, this was the first time she was voiced, right? We didn't hear her prior. Or did we?
I don't remember.
In retrospect, I was like, crap, I think maybe we did hear her before.
I'm not sure.
I heard her in my mind.
Yeah. I mean, logically, we should have heard her because she was in a story quest.
Yeah, but
you never know.
We didn't hear Jeht or Liloupar.
Well, those were world quests.
Yeah, those weren't voiced. But that might have been at the time when people weren't being voiced because of I can't remember.
The strike was Natlan.
Oh, Natlan. Okay.
We probably did, but I was so just excited about so much that I was just like, yay, a Pep's talking to us. She's a sassy bitch.
Oh, I think she's voiced. I feel like she's voiced in the boss fight, like the weekly you can do.
So she was probably then voiced the first time.
Yeah. But anyway, so a Pep gives us 3 options at this point. Do you guys remember what options you chose? I don't remember all 3 options. I just know I chose the one that said you should help because you owe her for saving your life.
I feel like that's what I did because that's what I remember. But what were the other options?
I don't know. I only wrote down my option. I was like, because in my head, I was like, this is the right one. So,
because so many times, like, they're so close, or it's like we could have said them all at the same time.
True.
Like, I could have listed these shits out for you.
Well, I guess it's probably regardless of what you say, but for me, I got the response of the Pep being like, meh, good point.
Yeah.
And she sucks us into her little void and puts Nahida in a bubble and says that even though the fire seed is helping her, Bjor won't get her full strength back.
Wait, did you already say a Pep tells us that she had a feeling we'd show up?
Yes.
And then she says like the most dragon thing ever, which is, you who took our home from us, prepare to watch as your own world is plunged into oblivion. Oh, how the cycle of history comes to a poetic conclusion. And I was like, fair. That's fair. And then Paimon says, like, this isn't a joke, a Pep. And I was like, I don't think she's joking, Paimon. Yeah, and then we're like, could you please help Nahida? I don't remember which option I picked. She says, for what reason should I lend Booer my assistance? And, I thought it was fun that she's using Nahida's god name since the god, and that kind of ties into like the fun crack theory that the gods used to be dragons. But Traveler tells a Pep that after her humiliation of being saved by a god, she must want to balance the scales by helping Nahida. That's what I said.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And a Pep says that when Deshret plotted against her and tortured her with forbidden knowledge, it was Booer who saved her from agony. And she says that although she regards with shame the pity of her enemies, to receive aid and not repay it would diminish her dignity as a dragon. So she's basically agreeing to help because of her own ego.
Which really, that's all she kind of runs on.
Yeah. But I love characters like this. It's very like Liloupar in a way. She's like, oh, tiny Booer, puny humans. Just this once I shall deign to show you the true power of dragonkind. And I was like, word. And that's when we get sucked into a vortex, aka Apep's abode, and then she does her Heart of Oasis thing.
Yeah, and so this is when, she's like, listen, even though the Fire Seed is helping her, Bjor's not going to get her full strength back unless you fix Irminsul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then she goes on to tell us a shit ton of stuff about Irminsul, which I was like, oh, you knew all this, lady? Which I guess makes sense. She's been around that long.
Yeah, she don't give a fuck.
Yeah, so she tells us that that Irminsul was not planted by the heavenly principles and that it existed well before they arrived in Teyvat. And it belonged to the dragons, and it flowed with abundance of a familiar primitive form of elemental energy. You know, the power of the light realm, which is layer 3, I think, of our taco dip. Forget which layer we're at. But then she goes on to tell us, too, that the heavenly principles refashioned it to serve humanity and used it to anchor the fate of the world. Then she goes also back into her, but don't you worry, one day the dragons will take it back and it'll be all ours. And I know that the Hydro Dragon is taking his form again and he's going to be on my side. And we're sitting there like, bitch, I don't think so.
I'm also like, bitch, I don't care. Just like help Nahida.
Yeah.
But I did want to point out, that she did say that Irminsul's appearance and function differed greatly than it does today after the heavenly principles refashioned it, and that it flowed with the, like Tiff said, the primitive and abundant source of energy that we know is light energy. So maybe it didn't look as much like a computer or function as much like a computer back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanted to point that out.
After she gives like this huge Irminsul lore drop and she does her like fuck you to the heavenly principles, like Tiff was saying, I love that she's like, and I know Nouvelet has his powers back.
Uh-huh.
And we're internally like, don't tell her anything. Don't say that he's like in human form and that he's like besties with humans.
Yeah. She is all like, oh, it's starting. I can feel it. It's starting. He's going to kill all the humans with me. It's going to be wonderful. And we're like, he is too busy drinking some water.
We're like, sure, Jan. My favorite part of this whole interaction, by the way, is when Pep is giving the speech about how, because we're like, are you okay with lending your power to Nahida? And she's like, spare me your feigned concern. And she gives us a speech about how a dragon sovereign's power is far greater than we can imagine, and lending Nahida a morsel of her life force shall have little consequence. And Paimon just goes, good to hear. Paimon is so normally not sarcastic like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He doesn't normally do like little sarcastic bitchy zingers. So it really delighted me.
Mm-hmm. I also just wanted to throw out there too that when she was talking about Nouvelet and like you guys were like, he's gonna kill all the humans with me, I was like, cut to Nouvelet, who is known by the Fatui as the dragon who cries a lot. Like, and she's like, they're gonna kill everybody, and he's over there like wiping a tear away as he sips his delicate water.
My Melzine daughters.
So after all the lore drops, after all the shade about the dragons and blah blah blah, Pep comments that there are weird things outside, sandstorms, the djinn, and she's like, just leave Bjor with me. I'll return her to you once she's healed. And Nahida does wake up for a brief moment before we leave, and she gives us a piece of advice, and she says, the statues of the gods hang inverted from the heavens, but one alone is unique among them. The location is XXXXX. Remember, tell no one. And we do keep that secret to ourselves. We do not tell a Pep. And we leave.
Does this quote ever come back within this quest?
Not that I remember.
Because she sends, and this is some kind of key that she sends down to us, and we touch it, and that's when we intuitively know that this line, the statues of the gods hang inverted from the heavens, but one alone is unique among them. And then she tells us its location. What could that mean?
Do you want to know my weird crack thought on that?
What?
So because Celestia, right, which is like the heavens, is technically above them, technically every statue of the seven, which I'm assuming that's the statues of the gods, they're all technically inverted compared to Celestia. Like if Celestia came down, those would be upside down, like with the atmosphere. Like how like they.
Yeah, if you were like looking down.
Not even looking down. It's kind of like the idea that like the heavens are like flip-flopped above us.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like Stranger Things, like when everything was going to collide. So it makes me think about our stolen Animo Archon statue that was flipped upside down. Or it could also make you think of the city in the chasm, where a lot of things are kind of flipped right sideways in there.
Yeah, it has to involve that. Like it definitely harkens back to that inverted statue in the first Dainsleif quest, was it?
We will be reunited.
Yes, with the grand, what is
The Grand
he?
Thief.
The Grand Thief,
The
R.I.P.
dead guy.
Yeah. And that was a part of getting the original field tiller's eye, and that was all like to help bring back Osial, wasn't it?
I think part of it was, I know that with Childhood Osial, he really needed the sigil.
Yeah. Oh yeah, maybe it was just a part of what's the operation whatever to remake Conria.
The Loom of Fate.
No, okay, wait. So the Abyss Order was planning to use the defiled statue to create a mechanized god. They would replace the core of the statue, usually held with the eye of the first field tiller, and then attach Osial's limbs to the arms of the statue. And this way they would create a machine to topple the divine thrones of Celestia. So they were going to use the inverted statue, a god's limbs, and the first field tiller's eye to create this mechanized god that they could control.
All right, Dr. Frankenstein.
But what happened to the defiled statue?
We don't know. Right? Is it our understanding it might still be there?
Yeah.
We tell people about it, but we never get an update.
According to the wiki, Dainsleif planned to destroy the inverted statue to prevent the Abyss Order from creating the weapon. When they return to the ruins, the traveler meets their sibling in front of the inverted statue. But I guess we don't know what happened to it after that. So I wonder if this is the one that Nahita's talking about. Or this is just a random statue of 7. So it's probably not the same ones that are in the heavens. You know what I mean? Is it just a symbol of something in the heavens?
In retrospect, I felt like it was Moika because she's the only god that's not a god. So not literal upside down, but only one stands out.
Or would it be Nouvelette's, since that authority was taken back? They destroyed.
There's no Gnosis, there's no throne.
Yeah.
Well, I will say this has to be a stagnant item because it has a specific location. So it can't be a person. It can't be Moika because she moves. Her coordinates would be different. But we don't know, and I will say, just on my last note on the inverted statue in Mondstadt is that we never really find out where that statue came from either. I've never seen an area where I'm a statue of the 7 should have been here.
Nah.
I bet it'll end up being the Saritsas.
But wait, that still doesn't explain where my missing Animo Archon one is. Where it was supposed to be.
I know, but we don't know if that's just a regular to that one that they took from somewhere in Mondstadt. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't know where that was. Where did they take it from? I'm very curious. Outside of this quote, where did they take this Animo Archon statue from and to hang it upside down?
Yeah, because it definitely looks like Benty's.
It's not in Dormant Port. I've 100%ed the area. Is there another Mondstadt expansion coming out that I don't know of? I don't know.
Probably.
But no, you're right. There's a lot of questions. Is this the Saritsa? Does it have something to do with Venti? There's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really, from my remembrance, never comes up again.
Yeah, it's definitely a blink and you miss it mystery.
So this is when we leave and we go to the Temple of the Silence, and there's just a mess outside of the Temple of Silence, and it's lots of monsters, there's fighting, we're told to go ahead and get inside, and so we do. And when we go inside, we update Nafis and Sino on the Hida, and Sino tells us that the Jinn have made some very violent sandstorms that are blocking people's paths to get to the Temple of Silence, and that Tighnari and Collei have returned to Aru village in order to help people there. Kaveh is I've never seen anything like this from the Jinn, and Al-Haytham blames Gurabad, saying that there's a lot of Jinn who lived there and are sealed dormant below the city. Mm-hmm. And as we know, the Temple of Silence is pretty close to Gurabad. Not the closest, but...
And he mentions that Baladhuri, which is Curlybeard, could explain more if he was around, which is interesting. So I guess Baladhuri has Gurabad knowledge.
And this is when the traveler remembers Liloupar, and Liloupar telling us that she needed to return to Gurabad the last time we saw her. So we make a decision that we're going to go to Gurabad and we're going to try to wake up and find Liloupar.
And they're calling her Liloupar, which was
Yes.
Took me a minute to get used to.
And Nafis mentions that the monsters of the area have definitely been stirred by the Jinn and to be careful. And as we leave, Kaveh says, "Don't do anything too risky. You got it?" I was like, cry. People care about me. So when we get to Gorabad, we're of course attacked by many, many monsters, and we find that there are Fatui also in Gorabad. We break some devices, and then Pantalone shows up. He still hasn't identified himself yet, and Paimon asks if he's responsible for everything that's going on, and he's like, I can't really answer that. And I was like, man, he's giving me Zhongli vibes right now. Is he contractually obligated to not talk to me? Like,
Kind of.
Yeah, technically.
and at this point, Paimon wants to fight him, and the Traveler's like, listen, I think he's trying to provoke us, and I think this might be a trap. And so Paimon's like, fine, we don't have to fight him. Pantalone then says that he admires us, and then he regrets that our journey doesn't reflect with his goals. And I'm like, I'm sorry that my life path does not meet what you want. He says he heard the power of the three moons couldn't take us down in Nod Krai, and we're like, oh, so you must know Dottore. And he says our commander Dottore died in Nod Krai. And he goes to say some more, but stops himself. And instead, he recaps the story of Liloupar and the king of Gorabad before admitting that this is him trying to bid some more time for himself. And now he's leaving, and people are going to attack us. And I was like, oh, thanks.
First of all, when he talks about the three moons, he's like, even three moons in the sky have failed to eclipse your brilliance. I was like, okay, sweet talker. Thank you so much.
Does he write Valentine's Day cards?
And then he also says that he used to admire us, but has realized that our goal seems to be to uphold the rules of this world, which he suspects are not just. So I appreciate that he is sort of laying out like what the dividing line is between us, and that, you know, it also kind of lines up with what we have been finding out about the goal of the Fatui, how they're basically like, let's take down Celestia, and we're like, we're friends with all the gods. And that's when he brings out like his lackeys to stall us.
Yeah, which he's already been stalling with all his words and his admirations. But of course, we defeat all the lackeys, and then we chase after Pantalone. Also, reading your notes is so funny. Like, I wrote, and then Panty's there. And then I wrote, and then we chase after Pants.
Pants. I like Panty.
Panty.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Panty.
Hey, Panty.
I was like, I'm just calling him Regrader. I don't know why. I was like, I kept getting confused on whose name was what, and I was like, he's Regrader. At one point, I think I referred to him as Jingzhou's brother.
Yes. So we do chase after Pantalone. And this is when I kind of noticed that Pantalone with the cape kind of looks like a raven, which gave me official vibes. And I was like, don't get my girl involved. So Paimon gets pretty mad once we catch up to him, and we run after him. But we get stuck by an elemental shield or wall or whatever you want to call it.
Force field.
And this is when Pantalone goes, I may not be real, but he knew we would come. And Traveler asks him why he follows Dottore after all the terrible shit he's done. And he says, follow isn't quite the right word. Let's just say, even those you see as villains have their friends, even if they aren't the most sincere of friendships. He says basically that him and Dottore aren't tolerated by the rules of this world, and that they are searching for order. And this is when the dark walls that swallowed Jeht's dad start to close in on us. Which I'm assuming means we would have joined the Golden Slumber. Which, like, no thank you.
You don't want to be in a singularity?
No. Not yet.
You don't want to be in a collective consciousness?
Not today. Try selling me on it in like a few years. But this is actually when perspectives get switched, and we go to see Collei, Tighnari, and Dori, who are guarding the entrance to Aru Village together.
Oh my god, and they're fighting Jinn, and the Jinn, I'm like, those just look like animals.
Yeah. I was so confused. I'm like, where are the Jinn?
Yeah.
It's just a crocodile with a freaking like backpack on.
I mean, I understand that Jinn are like just basically spirits, and they can inhabit or look like whatever. But I wish they had reminded us of that.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I was like, oh, they probably just like took over the bodies or something. But as we're fighting, Dory's like, don't worry, guys. Plumpy is a Jinn, her little pink guy. And my partner. Go talk to these hoes. Figure it out. And Plumpy is like, bro, I'm only doing this for you, Dory, if you gave me 100,000 mora.
Which is so delicious to find out that her genie extorts her.
Yeah.
And she gives it to him. She's like, sure, Plumpy. So Plumpy goes to try to talk to them and ends up getting their ass handed to them.
It's so funny.
And then Dory's like, no. And she runs head on into this and also gets her ass kicked.
Yeah.
And what's her biggest concern? All the money she's lost.
Collei and Tighnari join the fight, and we play as them fighting. And it's actually really cute. Collei and Tighnari reflect on their first time fighting together, when Collei first got attacked as a kid. And then two sages come and say that the position to the south has been breached, which I'm pretty sure they told us Cyno was guarding the south. So now I'm worried about Cyno. And I'm sure Tighnari was too. He was like, oh my god, my boo. And Tighnari sends Collei with the other sages to assess the situation and says that him and Dory will hold the line here, despite Dory getting her ass kicked. Collei is not having this. She is not leaving Tighnari. And that voice that she heard earlier that warned her that the dream might have been more than a dream comes back to her. And the gold Nicole bubbles show up. And she tells Collei she can't help but is here to guide her. And says, I'm a spirit created at the beginning. I am a flickering illusion. I am the shimmering light that flows from the eyes of the creators. I was like, Nicole, we don't have time for this. I'm an angel. Listen to me. But Collei realizes that, this is actually Nicole just saying things. This is something that Collei has to recite. So Collei starts to recite back what Nicole is telling her, and this ring forms around her. And Plumpy gets agitated, and Tighnari is like, what is happening to my girl? Like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
Baladuri says that she's reciting a song that was composed by the goddess of flowers. And he's like, this is kind of weird, Tighnari. Like, not a lot of people know of it because we don't really have a lot of info on it. Is she a historian?
Yeah.
And Tighnari goes, not to my knowledge. This reciting of this poem from Collei does calm the gym down. And then Furnace, who is there, tries to say the song too, but they just get mad again, so he runs away.
He runs away like a little bitch, and it's so great. It is so funny. He is just like, oh, it's too much.
And then after he runs away, you get this pan at Tighnari, and he's looking at Collei like, oh, baby girl, what is happening to you? Like, he's like, this is the Tighnari moment where he's like, my whole life is falling apart in this moment. The South End is Cyno, and he's been breached. Collei's got golden rings around her. Oh my god. Like, I was like, Tighnari's gonna have a mental breakdown by the end of this. Or if he doesn't, he's gonna get a cute little story that allows him to have one when I write it and post it on AO3.
I think that one might be a little more likely.
So this is when we switch back to the Traveler and Paimon, who have not been able to break the elemental seal. Mm-hmm. And Traveler's starting to get worried that, breaking the walls might actually break the whole place down. And this is when a woman comes down to help us, and it's voiced Jeht with Ben.
So excited.
Yes, and Jeht is able to figure out the right mechanism and saves our little booties.
We get one of those, instead of seeing the whole thing actually happen, we get one of those still photographs, and it is too much because it's like Lumine. Well, I play as Lumine, so it's Lumine like with her face in Jeht's bosom. She's like, oh yeah, here, let me save you with my titties.
I wish we could see Jeht's eyes in that moment.
She's like, oh.
And then with Ether, it's much more like, are you okay there, sir?
Yeah. She just picks him up with like a little like tissue, like, oh, here you go. I don't want to touch you.
If you need a Band-Aid, Ben has them. So we start talking with Jeht, and we mentioned that the Fatui were here. And Jeht is so mad that they had the audacity to come back to the desert. And this is when we take a moment to catch up with Jeht, and she tells us, I've actually made my own band of mercs since, the last time I saw you. And don't worry, I took care of Masaira and killed him. Ha ha ha.
Yeah. She's so like nonchalant about it. She's just like, oh, and that guy, I found him and murdered him.
And we're just like, be sure to wipe the blood off your hands.
Yeah.
Yes. Out, damn spot. And so we're like, we're here looking for Liloupar. And she's like, oh, I'll help you. And after some light side questing, we do end up finding Liloupar in a bush.
But when she's like, when we tell her though that we were looking for Liloupar, she goes, "That bottle." I was like, "What? Is that like an insult? That bottle?"
I mean, we know her opinions on Liloupar after the quest, that's for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, we find Liloupar in a bush, and when we talk to her, we find out that she's also voiced.
Yep.
We actually heard her voice once, like before, but it was very briefly in a flashback. But I remember being like, oh my God, it's like Liloupar's voice. But I wasn't sure if we were going to like fully get her involved in the story until this moment.
It was wonderful.
I felt like her voice sounded younger than I expected.
Don't tell her that. She'll fucking castrate you.
I know.
And she's not playing, Brandon.
No, she is not.
So when we start talking with Liloupar, she says that she merged with the land under Gurapod in order to suppress the dark calamity that was making the Jinn angry. But then when the Natlan Archon quest happened and we defeated Gosuyoth, the thing in the sky, the abyss went silent and Liloupar was finally able to sleep. I was like, oh, you're welcome. And she's like, so why is everything a mess again? Why did you wake me? And once we explain what's going on, she's like, all right, no big deal. I'll take care of the Jinn and the sandstorms. So we take Jeht, Liloupar, and Ben all with us back to the Temple of Silence. And this is when we run into Kaveh and Alhaitham. And of course, Alhaitham is like, I know who Liloupar is. This is you can kind of see the face of like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
This is an evil deity from the past. Why is she in a bottle? Why is she here? And so we kind of catch them up on what was happening in Gurabad. And Jet's like, yeah, I don't really understand all this big talk you guys are saying, so I'm gonna go for a walk. But that's when she runs into Dea, and we find out that they know each other.
Yes. I was like, when they're like, she's like, hey girl, what you up to? Just hanging around in a mausoleum, And I was like, these fucking lesbians, they're running around all with each other.
Just frolicking around the desert.
Frolicking, yeah.
With all their mercs.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that makes sense since they're both, involved in mercs, in the merc life, that they would run into each other now that she has a new job.
A new life, a new job. She's killed Messiah. All as well.
I wonder if she's come out of the closet yet.
I mean, the way that she caught us in her bosom as Lumine.
Yeah.
She's out of the closet at my house. So Kaveh says that they did find an answer on how they're going to make a plan, and basically explains that they want to modify the Akasha using things that can be found in Deshret's mausoleum, and that we're looking for a core device called Aru, and they should be able to power this plan to reboot the Akasha. And this is when Sethos appears and ensures that the sages will soon come to an agreement about this plan. He's like, they're going to say yes. And this is when Paimon asks if Aru is where the 3 henchmen of Deshret are. And Sethos is like, yup, those fuckers. And Sethos said that he actually was really skeptical about all of this until he heard it from the Ibis King, Thoth, himself at this temple. And this is when he reminds us of the questions we had to answer then. And just to remind you, the Ibis King showed up to us in a Sumeru event, which is insane because it was such another deep cut lore that came up in the event.
Wait, in the Sumeru event?
Yeah.
Wait, I thought he showed up
with Layla.
That was an event. I forget. I was getting mixed up. I was like, was he in Nefer's quest?
Yes. So we first see the Ibis King in the Sumeru event with Layla, where Layla fell into a hole.
Oh shit. I forgot. Oh my God.
And he is the cat that helps us out there. And then we re-see the Ibis King when we go through Nefer's backstory in Nod Krai. And we find out that she has a deal with him. Well, not a deal. He gifted her the chess set she uses to see into people's minds. And we remember that there are 3 questions that you have to answer when you talk to the Ibis King or Thoth. What causes rise and fall? What obliterates love and hate? And what determines truth and falsehoods? And we're kind of like, damn, where's Nefer when you need her? And Sethos like, oh, she's here. Yeah. He arrived earlier with another lady.
Speaking of lesbians, we got a couple more over here.
And we're like, ooh. And we find out that Nefer and Nicole are here. Yay. In my notes, I literally wrote, yay, in all caps. So we go and we're like, hey girls, oh my God. And Nicole's like, yeah, an invisible border actually appeared around Sumeru's border and has cut off travel in and out of Sumeru. And I'm like, oh?
Mm-hmm.
And she's so nonchalant about it. She goes, I think it's a defense mechanism that Irminsul is using, so it's good and bad. While Sumeru people can't escape, the disaster would be contained if something happened. And Nicole decided to come to Sumeru because of this. And this brings us to a flashback of Nicole convincing Nefer to come with her. And Nicole happens to say, that the Ibis King was a prominent moon envoy.
Once upon a time, yes.
And I'm like, what? Like, does that mean he was an angel?
I guess so, right?
But I thought all angels were female. So I'm confused.
Why did you think that? Just because that's the only ones we've seen so far?
No, someone said it.
They did?
I think in Lohen's story quest.
Oh, I don't remember that.
I didn't do that one yet.
Maybe it means something different because the angels have been called divine envoys or like envoys to Celestia or the heavens. So maybe a moon envoy is different.
He was hanging out with Columbina.
Well, it could be more so like you're someone who is interpreting and like trying to help with the gods.
Wait, hold on. Apparently, Zabai was a moon envoy too.
I thought she was an angel.
Zabai?
Yeah.
Well, maybe she was a moon. Maybe she was.
Yeah.
But her was specialized in the moon thing. Moon envoy was a title meaning that any individual, whether an angel or not, could become one. And the source for that is an event, a lantern-lit ode to the silver moon epilogue, White Horse's leisurely journey. Okay, so that must have been the lantern rite with Zabai in it.
Yeah.
They resided in the lunar palace and carried out a variety of divine duties. Some labored across the three moons to guide humanity and weave the threads of fate for all living beings, while others descended into the mortal realm to bless nations with abundant harvests and overflowing granaries. They possessed the ability to change their forms, allowing them to assume animal appearances, and traveled using a lunar chariot.
Not the lunar chariot.
And I wonder if that's because when you have her and you get her to a certain friendship, you get the chariot. Then maybe when she explains some of that too.
We should do an episode on Zabai next season.
Whatever it is, there's a chance that they're all women.
I'm pretty sure they are because it also says it on the wiki.
Okay.
It didn't cite where that came from. So Thoth was a moon envoy, but I believe the moon envoys weren't necessarily angels. It was just like a position that someone could have, whether you were an angel or not.
Okay.
So the angels were divine envoys to Celestia, but then the moons had their own envoys, and they could be angels like Zabai, but they could also just be gods like Thoth.
Okay. Or god adjacent even.
Yeah.
Okay. So then Nicole also at this point opens up to Nefer in an attempt to get her to open up as well and help Sumeru. So Nicole's like, when angels still walked freely, I found life very tedious, but now I kind of miss those days. And this kind of convinces her, but for a price. And that's when Nicole's like, listen, I'm broke. I can offer to borrow money from Alice, or I can give you one of my sculptures. And she's like, listen, just cover my travel expenses. And Nicole's like, all right, I'll figure that out. And so Nefer left Yehoda in charge while she's gone. And once the flashback is over, Nefer is like, hey, like, where's Candace? And Dea pipes in and is like, oh, she should be coming soon. And I'm like, of course you're looking for Candace.
I love it that she's like immediately like, where's Candace?
Yes,
Yeah.
where is my friend?
Like the three like sexy desert ladies are all just like a little trio now.
Yes. So Tighnari, Cyno, and Collei then arrive. And Cyno says, we're looking for Aru's shoot in order to make connection with Aru. And Kave's like, who are these gals? And that's when we're like, oh, this is Nefer. And, Nefer is like, I came because I know a lot about the Ibis King and I can help. And Dea's like, yeah, you actually look familiar. And she's like, yeah, maybe you know, whatever. I've heard about you guys because of Dory. And Nefer kind of runs away. And this is when we realized that Nicole was the one in Collei's head officially. So if you didn't put the 2 and 2 together earlier, Nicole confirms it. And Collei seems very off, and Tighnari's worried about her. And Collei's like, it was you that was speaking in my head. And Tighnari's like, voices in your head, girl. Like, he's like, what therapist do I need to get her to? He's like, what? If we survive this mess, what do I need to do to get Collei sane again? So Collei has a lot of questions questions that she wants to ask Nicole. And Nicole's like, I already know all your questions. And she offers to like talk to her alone. Since she understands that, Collei might not have told everyone about her Elazar past, her experimentations, the demons inside. And they go talk at a corner. And of course, Sino, Tighnari, Kaveh, Al-Haytham, and us all go with her because no one's letting Collei go alone. And Nicole's like, I said I was going to talk to her alone. And Sino goes, even the doctors at Dar El Shifa allow patients to be accompanied by family members. And I was like, oh my God, crying. And Collei's like, yeah, it's okay. You can be honest with this group. And I'm like, she sees them all as family too. So we got dad, uncle, Traveler, and Paimon. Like, we're all there. Nicole asks Collei if she knows about the god remains inside of her. And Collei's like, yes, I am aware. And she retells her story of having Elazar and the Fatui experimentations on her.
And if anyone listening doesn't remember, this god remains storyline was the central plot of the manga.
So episode 7. Check it out. And Nicole tells her that the remains that she was experimented on with were those of Nabu Malikata, the goddess of flowers.
My love.
I was so shook.
Oh my God, I was too.
I was not expecting that at all. I've been wondering what god was used for the god remains for so long. And it's still confusing that, like, she has what seems like a benevolent, god, even though it's so funny in this moment because literally right before this happens, Dia, like when Nicole is like introducing herself to everyone and tells them that she's an angel, Dia asks, what exactly is an angel? And Nicole says, well, we're a race of long living beings, but not gods exactly. And then we're like, Collei, the god remains in your body are an angel.
Yeah, literally. But in this moment, Kaveh, Sino, and Liloupar are all shook because, of course, Liloupar snuck in.
Yeah, she heard Nabu Malikata and she's like, what?
She said, no, there's no fucking way.
In this one?
Yeah, in this girl, why not in me?
Also, why is the goddess of flowers manifesting as this crazy purple snake energy thing in the manga? That's what I want to know.
I have a few theories around that.
Ooh.
One is like general, like the intent of the Fatui is not good. At least of Dottore experimenting on children. So the possibility that there was like something that Dottore did that like caused her to go awry.
Okay.
But we learn a lot, I believe, with Zhao about how God remains can be very angry and sad.
Oh, right.
And that's what makes part of his job so dangerous is like he's always dealing with these like unhappy entities. Like I think he says it doesn't matter if you were a good god or a bad god, you will be angry, mean remains at some point.
Yeah, like maybe it's just Nabu's like shadow or whatever, sort of like Zabai had like the mean version of herself. Maybe it's like that unconscious anger is lingering and that's the only one that was manifesting. But it seemed so evil.
Yeah.
In the manga.
My other thought was that, we really don't know the most about Nabu's end. We've always assumed that she killed herself because she was saving Deshret. And I'm not gonna lie, if that's where your end game is, you might not necessarily be in the best headspace in death.
True.
And being honest, like they're a part of what she did almost felt spiteful. Like
for sure.
She knew that her death was going to impact Deshret in a bad way as well.
I always took it as she thought that she was doing right by Deshret, that she was doing what she did for him. But I know that when we first covered it, based on what we had at the time, it was a little like it could go either way. Like, was she trying to fuck Deshret over? Was she mad at him? Or did she love Deshret and was she trying to help him? And I think we know now that it was the latter. Like, she loved him and was trying to help him.
Yeah. In the time though, I thought that it was complete spite and like, you're doing something wrong and I need to stop you.
Yeah. Based on what we had, that it could have been that.
And didn't she really have no choice? Like, she saw what was going to happen and knew she had to do this. Like, that could be spiteful, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she did like see the future a little bit, which makes a lot of sense with Collei being able to see the future because of her.
Yes. So those are kind of my thoughts on like why, that might be happening, but I don't know for sure. I think anytime the Fatui is getting involved, there's just a chance that someone's going to be a little evil.
Or maybe it's just that the god remains were somehow activating or manifesting like outwardly Collei's own emotional state, because that would make sense. Because she was in a bad place mentally.
Yeah, that's true.
Very, very angry person at the time.
And Nicole explains here too, though, that like Deshret had like gathered up the goddess of flowers, but like her remains because they were scattered, and then he put them in the eternal oasis. But the Fatui actually got a small fragment, and that's how they were using that in their experiments. That's how it actually got put into Collei.
Yeah. Also, just to go back, when Kaveh, Cyno, and Liloupar are all shook, Tighnari is not surprised. He's like, yeah, that's my girl. Like, I'm like, he's such a proud dad. He's like, yeah.
But he was like, oh yeah, I kind of figured that when she was talking Nabu Malikad, the goddess song before. I was like, that's not like you knew. That was 5 minutes ago.
That confirmed it for him. He was like, he had his ideas ahead of time,
Also, Liloupar says that she's like, that's weird. I don't sense the presence of Nabu within her. And Nicole is like, well, it's a very tiny fragment, so most people would not be able to detect it. I'm like, well, that's convenient.
Yeah. My favorite part, though, about Liloupar, she goes, you with the hat, are you certain? I'm like, girl, calm down.
Yeah.
You're going to burst your bottle.
You're gonna give yourself a crack.
Yeah, God. And Collei seems a little upset despite being okay with it at the same time. And Alhaitham is like, people value their autonomy very highly. Even a well-intended intruder can shake one's sense of self. And I wrote in my notes, Cyno should get that, LOL.
Yeah, well, that's what he does. He compares it to his own relationship with his fragments of Hermanubis. And the fact that, just because he does have Hermanubis inside of him, that doesn't make him Hermanubis. So, like, her having Goddess of Flowers doesn't make her the Goddess Flower. I think he also makes the Cyno joke, too, there, when he says that he can only have two because three's company.
Well, Cyno tries to crack two's company, three's a crowd joke because of the two Hermanubis fragments, but Tighnari ends up beating him to the punchline, which I was like, oh, he's like, the world is ending. I'll get in on the dad jokes. Finally. Also, Brandon, at this point in my notes, I do have, why did Nabu create the black flame incident? So I thought the same thoughts. But Liloupar is still really shook, and she's like, you don't even speak like Hermanubis. Like the Hermanubis I knew, now that she knows that Cyno is also Hermanubis. And she's like, ugh. And she goes and like walks away, but she's really just sitting in a corner like a fucking creep, continuing to watch the conversation. So Nicole continues and she's like, yeah, Nabu was an angel, and the dream that you had was her warning you, Collei. She's like, actually Nabu Malikada was called the Mother of Dreams and the Lord of Flowers and Oases. And she's like, Nabu must have had a premonition and wanted to make sure that you got it.
And she also says that Nabu, like Nicole, was an angel created by the primordial humans. And I was like, wait, what? Is that a typo? I don't understand. Created by the primordial humans?
Yeah, that's weird.
I know that they're like the divine envoys that can like go between the humans and Celestia, but I didn't think that the first humans created the angels. I thought that the heavenly principles created the angels.
And the heavenly principles was human.
No, my brain will break. It's not possible. They can't. No.
Oh, also, she says, we're born with the instinct to guide human beings. And I just immediately thought of Paimon. And it's really adding to this like thought that Paimon might be an angel.
Who lost her mems.
Yeah. And shrunk. Just not all the way down to a Seelie.
Not yet. So Collei is like, but why me? And Nicole goes, you weren't the only one injected with her remains, but only in you have her fragments persisted. Which I kind of felt like was like you're a good nugget, Collei. Like she believed in you. So this is when we make a decision that we need to go to like the mausoleum of Deshret. Now, before you leave, there's a few things that you can do and talk to. So you can go over and talk to Alhaitham and Kaveh, where they're kind of having an argument, and Alhaitham goes, well, at least you're actually here when Sumeru needs you most. You won't have to come to me asking for details after the facts. So he is shading Kaveh for not being around during the Sumeru Archon line. But I also was like, this is witty, but it's also like Alhaitham being like, Sumeru needs you, Kaveh. You are needed. And this is his way of keeping it light for Kaveh and not getting too dark. Because I think we all know that Kaveh can get in his head very easily with these things.
Yeah, he'll start spiraling.
And even Collei is like, Alhaitham's comments seem to make Kaveh's self-doubt go away. I'm like, yeah, Collei. You can also see Furnace talking with Nicole about her sculptures.
Mm-hmm.
He insists that she show off some of her work, and she makes a squirrel statue appear out of thin air.
At which point I was like, okay, so I'm Nicole.
And it very much impresses Faruzan.
Oh, yeah. So when they see this, Furnace is like, Faruzan, Kaveh, come here. And he's like, isn't this squirrel statue, isn't it cute? Direct quote.
And Faruzan is like, I have some notes.
Yeah.
And she's like, next time, I think you should make it a superhero squirrel pointing at the sky.
I was like, girl.
And I'm like, so Faruzan, this really actually made me remember Faruzan's hangout. And I think that she probably really followed through on teaching light novels to students to get them to learn. Remember that?
Yeah.
She's like talking about superheroes now. I'm like, oh, look at that. Nice little touch.
Mm-hmm.
This is also a moment, though, where like we've realized no one has told Faruzan that Nicole is an angel.
Yeah.
And we're like, all right, guys, nobody tell her. She will lose her shit that she is letting Nicole call her Madam Faruzan. And Nicole she doesn't care. She's really not above the title type of thing.
Yeah.
Kaveh also never shows up, which is funny. He's too busy. He's very stressed.
Yeah, he's like, I'm still working on this proposal. See you later.
Then you can go see Tighnari and Cyno. And Tighnari thinks that Cyno looks really depressed. And Cyno's like, I'm not depressed. I'm just mad because Collei has a true goddess in her, just like I have Herbanubis. Like, I have one of the pillars of Deshret. And I think that this is just wrong. Like, she shouldn't have this. And he's just feeling some sort of way for her.
It's wild that in the manga, Cyno is the one that comes and basically whisks Collei away to help her. And then, we don't find out until much later that Cyno also has these god remains in him. So I thought that was great planning on Hoyo's part.
Yeah, and it really makes sense as to like why Lisa was able to get him to come out to Mondstadt. Like she was like, we have a little Cyno here.
Yeah.
And she's like, he's goddamn it. So you can also talk to Layla, who says that she's reading a lot. And you can go to Collei, who thanks Paimon for her notes and says that she's copied them and is therefore returning the second copy to Paimon. How are we writing this fast in the middle of a crisis? Like, I understand she only took the Sumeru notes, but still.
They must not have been very long.
Yeah.
Lots of stick figure traces.
Yeah.
So off we go to the Great Hall of Truths. I believe it was Setho, Cyno, Jeht, Naphis, Cyrus, and Liloupar. So we go to investigate the Aru shoot, and Toph, aka the Ibis King, is like, who the fuck are you guys? This isn't a tourist attraction. Like, go away. And then Toph sees Liloupar, and he's like, oh, you're here. But then he notices Nefer, and he's like, ooh, you! Do you think you figured out all those questions now? And so we get a refresher, that back when Nefer met the Ibis King for the first time, her answer to truths and falsehoods was a liar's soul. She explains that though it was her answer then, she doesn't think it's one Deshret would have wanted. And she says that honestly, I should have answered time. And I'm not even going to tell you my other answers because I think time is the answer to all three questions now. And the Ibis King is like, whoo, you got it! And that is when we get to meet the most jacked motherfuckers I've ever met in this whole game.
Yeah, they pop and drop.
I was like, who made you guys?
I just call them the old geezers and everything.
The old geezers, they look like they should be competing in a muscle man competition.
But they have like they got weird faces.
They just have their namesakes.
Yeah.
So you meet Toth, who is the Ibis King, who is a jacked man with a bird head. You meet Sobek, who is a jacked man with a crocodile head. And we meet Hiroshaf, who is a jacked man with a goat head. He does get nicknamed Goaty by Toth.
And Sobek is Croco.
And Croco.
They're neat little figures though, too, like of what they actually like. Toth is the god of wisdom and the moon and all this kind of stuff. And I want to say that they all had like their importance in the Deshret time, and they've just been like stuck in this thing, and they've gotten really ornery about it. And it's just funny, like nobody has a nickname for Toth though. He's just Toth.
They're all just like, he's a dumbass.
Yeah.
Like that is like Croco and Goaty are like, please do not listen to anything the bird says. Like he's just dumb.
Poor Thoth.
Their whole thing is like they were locked away, right? Like they got locked up.
They got locked in there, yeah, until somebody could answer this riddle.
And remember who almost broke the riddle, friends? Zandik.
Mm.
So at this point, we're, after we get over the fact that they're so strong looking, Sino and Nafis start to tell them like what's happening and what our goal is here about the Aru shoot.
They're like, it's a very large project. And he's like, larger than the gaping hole in our lives. Like, all right, calm it down, Toth.
I'm like, yes, Toth, actually it is. Because there'll be a gaping hole in all of Teyvat.
Yeah.
So they fight us on using Aru. And they're like, Aru wasn't complete. It's not ready. And Nafis is like, I promise you, we can finish this. And as we're arguing, Toth calls his friends old fogies. Because he's like, these old fogies just don't understand. And this is when they decide, you know what? We need to talk to our other old colleagues. I'm like, I thought it was just the three of you. It's like, no, there's 7 pillars, Amanda. There are others besides these 3. And they call their colleagues Saint Sheshipank and Saint Benu. And the place trembles. And all of a sudden, these 2 appear as statues. Goaty says that Deshret really wanted to protect his people, and that because he wanted to protect his people, Deshret would want all of them to be making this decision, and that all 7 pillars are needed to approve this. So as we're talking to them, one of the statues is like, a pep is never going to agree to this, because we forget that a pep is the 7th pillar.
Yeah.
And we're like, guys, don't worry. A pep's actually healing the Dendro Archon right now.
And it's like record scratch, like, what?
Yes, they all turn their heads in surprise except for the statues. And this is when Benu reminds us that when Aru is liberated, the souls in the golden slumber will also return to the ley lines and to Irminsul once everything is fixed. And the first thing we think of in this moment is Jabriel, Jeht's father, and how his soul would get to finally go to rest.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, oh, well, besides a pep, we're still missing Herbanubis. And they decide to let Sino represent Herbanubis, which I mean,
it makes sense.
A little biased, though, at the same time.
Well, he has pieces of Herbanubis inside him, so...
Yeah, but at the same time, like, Sino, obviously, he's the one who was like, this is what we should do. So clearly he's going to vote yes.
Oh.
And they all vote, and they decide to just say yes for a pep, and they all agree, and they open Aru. And this is when we see Jeht get to reunite for a brief moment with her father.
Yeah.
And also Samael. Blech.
He's like, I see sand and blood on your hands. You've grown. He's like proud of her for being a murderer.
It's the desert way.
And it is like a very quick, like, hey, how are you? See ya. And like, she's really shook. And Paimon's whole thing is, hey, Jeht, would you like some food? It's like, I just saw my dead dad. This is what all you have for me is, would you like some food?
I love it that he tells her growing up, it's put his soul at ease. And then is just like, take care of yourself. Bye.
See ya. I got places to be.
Feels right for everything Jeht has been through.
Bye, Dad.
Bye, Dad. She doesn't take any food. She says, thanks, I'm good.
She's like crying silently under her mask.
So after after the very sad reuniting and also seeing Samael go free, Godi offers them a defense mechanism while they're working on the device that will guard us against Irminsul as well. Toph adds in, with technology from the heavens, the possibilities are endless. Just because King Deshret didn't use it for this purpose does not mean it cannot be done. So Ibis Toph has faith in us, which is nice. And this is when Nafis calls to have Kaveh, Al-Haytham, and 2 other researchers come to the temple in order to renovate Aru. And these NPCs are Termizi and Nysaburi.
I think this is when Act 10 started, by the way.
Yeah, this felt very different than the rest of it. You know, it's like panic to science is how it felt.
Yeah. And I do appreciate at the end of Act 9, after the reunion with Jebriel, the kings reward us for the unlocking of Aru by reciting a spell to protect them and like make anything that happens in the mausoleum undetectable to outsiders,
including Irminsul.
Yeah, so we're like, we can work in privacy. And that's when Act 10 is like, let's get to work, everyone.
So for travelers who are like, why is that so important? If you remember during the Sumeru Archon Quest, Sino, who was sus of the academia because of something Tighnari told him, he ends up getting rid of his Akasha terminal because he realizes that with the Akasha terminal, the academia was able to track his every move because everything he did was going straight into Irminsul. And that's why he leaves the city and goes to the desert where the Akasha isn't really used and all that stuff. So this is our way of making sure that if there is someone working with inside Irminsul or Irminsul has gone evil, Irminsul won't be able to get to what we're doing and be a step ahead of us.
Mm-hmm.
So Kaveh, Al-Haytham, and the 2 NPCs show up. They give Toph the plan to approve. And once approved, we learn that Aru was actually the original inspiration for the Akasha system. Toph explains to us that Nabu descended to Sumeru and that she created the Jinn and enlightened them to serve her, where she then ended up meeting Rukkhadevata and King Deshret, and they would all meet in the forest to create the first and greatest alliance. He explains that Nabu Malikata then pried into the secrets of Celestia on behalf of Deshret and was burned to ashes by the flames of wrath because of it.
Dead.
So we could see why she might have some negative thoughts about Deshret.
I had to stop at this point and I went, excuse me? Like, I don't know why it was worse than Offing herself. But I was like, she pried into Celestia and they burnt her to pieces.
It reminded me of Ochcon.
Yeah.
Remember that his little flame attack? Like if you what is it? If you
what was that thing? Yeah.
Like
if you
turn a
around,
certain way. Yeah, if you turn around.
The turn fire.
Don't turn around. Because you're gonna see my skin baking.
So once Nabu died, Deshret was so sad that only thing he could really do was focus on the knowledge that she had gotten him. And he first thought of making Aru after learning of the technologies in Celestia. And he kind of makes a comment about how, it's that little floating island in the sky. And they ask, why didn't Deshret end up using Aru? And Toph explains that he died before he could ever finish it. But Deshret had told Rukkhadevata, since we share an internal covenant, I shall never be your enemy. Hence, the fruit of wisdom from the heavens is not to be devoured. Remember, it's not that I lack power to become the enemy of wisdom. Yet you and she have taught me much and shown me kindness, and for this I cherish you both. And so Aru was used only to store souls instead of its original intent, even though he wanted to use it to return to the past to see Nabu Malikata again.
Which is crazy. It's like a time travel device.
I guess it's supposed to be.
That was its intended purpose, I guess. And it was made using the technology in Celestia.
Yes. It was inspired by Celestia, which is interesting to see that humans are able to take something inspired by Celestia and make it work.
Well, a god, because Deshret did it, right? Did Deshret make it?
Well, Deshret made it, but now our humans are redoing it because he never finished it.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Also, Toph does say about the Deshret, Rukkhadevata, and Nabu story that love is the same. It is both a prison and a monument. So deep cuts from Toph.
Mm-hmm. Feel like I'm getting a tarot reading.
Literally. Well, even more because then Toph makes Kaveh and Al-Haytham close their eyes and chants and grants them a glimpse into the unseen secrets that lie at the threshold of existence. Which I was like, is he showing them forbidden knowledge? But no, it was just a visual of how the mechanics worked. So the two break up into like paths. Kaveh is going to be working with the mechanics while Alhaitham is going to transcribe any text message. And this is where it got very like 2045, like very high tech. So we're basically doing all these puzzles and stuff to unlock monuments and see if we can get intel on the creation of Aru for us to use. But it's like, Kaveh's up on these like illusionary blocks that are supposed to represent like places, and he's reading words and he's putting them on like a computer thing and transferring them to Alhaitham is like, who is then like telling you what the words mean. And I'm like, what is happening?
And then they're deleting shit. I'm like, you don't delete stuff.
Yeah, there's one point where like I think Toph is like, I don't think you need that, and they're like, fine. I'm like, oh, what secrets are we hiding, Toph?
They're like, this is gonna be our new hard drive, you guys. We have to make room on it.
Yeah.
Gotta delete some of these files.
I've done this exact thing with servers, and I sit there and I go, but I don't want to delete it so much.
So there comes a point where Alhaitham and Kaveh decide to take a break. And we see that Tighnari is here, and I was so excited because I love him.
Really? I wasn't sure.
Sorry. So Tighnari and Kaveh talk, and Kaveh's like, working with Alhaitham is the roughest part of this whole thing. And Tighnari's like, I thought things were working out. And Kaveh responds and is like, ugh, people don't change. And Alhaitham walks over and he's like, I agree, since you didn't make sure I was out of earshot before complaining about me. And I was like, oh my God. And Tighnari is like, so you guys didn't volunteer for this like I did? And Alhaitham's like, nope. Nahida and Nafis assigned us to this. We had no choice. And Kaveh goes, there's a 0% chance of them ever solving their issues. And poor Tighnari's trying to mitigate here, and he's just not. He's like, guys, can we just focus on your assignment then? So then Kaveh asks how Collei's doing. And Tighnari says, oh, well, she's in good spirits. She's with Nicole. And Alhaitham goes, angelic affairs are above me. But Tighnari says that he and Sino are both just really worried for her, and the two plan to join up with her soon and like check in with her. And Kaveh says that you have to have faith in her, and because of their guidance, she can finally stand on her own feet. So Kaveh's like, guys, if it wasn't for you, Collei wouldn't be where she is today. And I was like, yes, you're right. Tighnari also notes that he wishes there was more that he could do for everyone, including Collei. And Alhaitham and Kaveh are like, no, she's going to be fine. We're fine. Don't worry about it. And I do want to take a moment to pause here just to talk about Tighnari. Sorry. But this whole time, there has been this inkling of like, Tighnari feeling like he's not doing enough. Like, we had that conversation with Nafis earlier. Now we're having this conversation with Kaveh and Alhaitham. And there is a point where, like, we talk with Tighnari and he's like, I'm basically just running between all the groups to see if anyone needs help. And I can only imagine what that makes you feel like. Like, you're the head of the forest rangers, but you feel like you're doing nothing at the same time.
Yeah, and it kind of is a similar conversation that Paimon ends up having later, too, is she feels useless.
Oh, yeah, I wish Tighnari had been there for that convo, honestly. He needed that a little bit, too. But we'll get there.
Yeah, and Collei had the same thing earlier.
Mm-hmm. But now Collei is like, she's got angel in her.
She's like, I'm part angel, flips hair.
Literally.
Yeah.
So now, after this conversation happens, the traveler goes outside to try to like think and like clear their head. And Krako approaches and asks if we're worried for Sumeru. And at this point, he actually provides us with some history on Apep and Deshret. We learn that Deshret listed Apep as one of the 7 pillars, decreeing his power more than hers without asking her, which, pissed her off.
Mm-hmm.
Krako goes on to explain that unlike him and Ibis and Godi, Apep refused to submit to him, and they often battled, it always ending in a draw. And Deshret later got the power of Celestia and was corrupted by, the forbidden knowledge. And the last thing Deshret did was have Apep swallow him whole. And, was like, all right, Apep, you can deal with my issues now. So there's a lot of not great vibes there.
Yeah.
I have a question real quick. Speaking of Deshret getting swallowed whole by Apep, do you feel like the next place for Sumeru to go is to bring Deshret back? If so, like, wouldn't it make some kind of sense for him to Apep to somehow be able to like barf him up? I mean, not literally, but you know what I mean? Like, I bet his like soul is like within her, and she's like a dragon sovereign, so she's probably, healing Nahida is just a morsel of her power, according to her. So like, why wouldn't she be able to like, now that she's been cleansed by Nahida, like, what if she could reproduce Deshret? out of her body. Just saying, like, it would make some kind of sense.
I mean, in that same case, though, then would Collei be able to manifest Nabu Malikata and Sino Herbanubis?
Well, she's not a dragon sovereign, so you know what I mean? I just
And
mean
she didn't eat her. Like, you know, like Collei didn't like swallow
She
Nabu
just shot her
Malikata
up.
whole. Yeah, it was injected into her veins like heroin.
She, she's a little baby heroin addict.
Oh my God.
Little baby.
I will say though that it is a good question because during Nahida's story quest where we go to a pep, don't we take those like fungi out of a pep?
So when you mean during this quest?
No, during the Nahida older one, yeah.
Yeah, I think some of them basically like they charge in and help power the fire seed, which means they basically sacrifice themselves. But when they do that, like they basically tell us that they're going to be reborn. And then during this quest, when we're in a Pep's domain, we actually see them and they like come and like gather around Traveler and Paimon, and we can see that they were reborn.
Oh, but they weren't taken out of a Pep's tummy.
No.
So we don't have any proof that rebirth can happen through her tummy.
Well, the fungi were reborn. They just were still in the abode.
But they weren't eaten by her.
I don't know if it counts as being eaten.
I think that a Pep's acids, they tore Deshret apart. He's not coming back.
Maybe, but maybe she has primordial power that could bring him back, is what I'm saying. I don't think that he's just like walking around in her stomach.
Anything's possible. Maybe she'll bring back Senora.
I just mean like magically she might be able to bring him back since she swallowed him whole and maybe like consumed his essence.
Okay, I kind of understand where you're going a little better now. I will say a Pep is not bringing Senora back. She hates humans.
Yeah, but so does Senora.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. She didn't know Senora.
It's like, I'm going to sprinkle Senora's ashes into a Pep's mouth. A Pep, I made you this pie.
Yeah.
It has powdered sugar on it. It's really good.
Anything I can do.
Anyway, so that is when Krako also, you know, is like, since Nahida helped a Pep with everything, getting rid of like kind of the Deshret torment, that's probably why a Pep is, you know, helping Nahida now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we're like, oh shit, where's Nahida? She hasn't been brought back yet? Oh my God, it's almost like we forgot. And we're like, maybe we should go check on Nahida, but then a Pep comes and drops her off.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect timing.
And it's so funny because a Pep kind of speaks like Cloud Retainer. You know, she's like 1-aught, blah, blah, blah.
Uh-huh.
And she mentions that like something grabbed her tail on the way over, but she doesn't really like explain more because she's so fed up. She's like, ugh, take the Hida and don't ever bother me again. And she like turns away.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, thanks, Pep. But then as we're thinking of Pep, Sorush shows up, our Pari friend, and she's also voiced.
Mm-hmm.
And Sorush shows up with some of the Aranara.
I wish the Aranara had been voiced.
Yeah.
They were just terrified.
But I was very happy to see them, which you'd think I'd be like, oh, God, the Aranara quest.
The trauma comes back.
Yeah.
But I was happy to see them. I was like, oh, the Aranara. It was very cute.
They are very much afraid, though. And Sorush says, like, it's not just all the humans, it's these non-humans, too. Like, they're a little freaked out. I think they need to go hang out in the corner.
Who are these crocodile head people?
Yeah.
This was very much the like, we're getting the band back together moment. I'm like, everyone is here. Oh my God. So anyways, they're kind of panicking. We catch Nahida up to speed on what's been going on, and we go back inside, and the R&R and Sorush come with us.
And they tell us that on their way over, they saw two Nara up to no good at Caravan Rebot, which will make sense later.
That's the one where you're like, God damn it. Not more. So Nahida goes to Aru to check on the progress, and Nahida is like, you guys have a really good plan, but there is an issue with it. But she doesn't say it out loud. And now Haytham's like, well, we can try something unusual. And they're gonna do something crazy. But meanwhile, the Traveler side quests, and we go to Caravan Ribbit. with Sino and Nefer, because we gotta go check on what these two Nara are up to.
Yeah, and I did want to also add that the Aranara, Nahida, she's the one that asked us to go investigate like these two no good Nara over in Caravan Reba. And in case anyone forgot what Nara means, it just means humans. That's what the Aranara call humans. Nahida is talking to the little Aranara, and she's like, I'm so glad you want to help, but you are going to need to make yourselves visible to the people of Sumeru. If you are going to be helping them. And I just love that attention to detail and that consistency, because I think it's easy to forget that most people can't see them.
Yeah.
Except like kids, So she's like, you got to show yourselves to the adults if you want to be here and help. So I just love that.
And Collei's like, I know them. But Collei's not there, but she would have been like that.
Yeah.
So on Nahida's decision, the travelers, Sino and Nefer, go to Caravan Riva to investigate these bad Nara. And we're trying to decide what to do. We're realizing that there might be a traitor from within our group. And Sino is like, Nefer, nobody here knows you. So I think we can use you as like an undercover here.
And she's like, oh, I have the perfect cover. I'm just going to be this damsel in distress and flirt my way through everything.
I mean, wouldn't you if you looked like that?
Yeah, seriously.
I know I would. Be like, let me get the girls out. Let me hike up my skirt a little more.
I did that in D&D recently with my character where I was like, she batted her eyes and went in. Sino, explains that he thinks a spy was planted in their group a long time ago and that one of the two Nara were probably a messenger that has left already. So we're really only looking for one person. And we've decided that we're going to be investigating a guy called Quanafia, who happens to be looking at a coin but seems normal otherwise. So Nefer goes up to him playing dumb, like she's looking for someone and doesn't know if they've already left to go to Aru village because she stayed behind to look for luggage that she lost. And she's lying, obviously, and she's like, I can't find my friend. And he offers to give her a ride to Aru village.
And pick up all of the stuff. And she's like, oh, well, let me help carry that. And he's like, I'm plenty strong for the both of us. I've got it.
You're
so I wanted to punch him in the fucking face. I was so mad at that guy.
Look at those muscles. Oh my.
Ugh. I mean, it worked. It worked for her.
Yeah.
So after he offers to give her a ride, he makes kind of a snarky comment. He's like, I hope that luggage was worth risking your life for. And she's like, it's like some rare stuff. Kind of suggesting in her tone that maybe it's stolen.
Yeah, she's like, I'm in the antiquae business.
I'm in the Robere business.
Sometimes I just do like a little, something naughty to get what I need.
Is this how you flirt? Like, have I been doing it wrong my whole life?
Apparently.
I feel like I have to redo some of my strategies here.
I mean, that's just what Nefer said, right?
I mean, you're right, but maybe there should be like a Nefer flirting guide for some of us to use.
Yeah.
Paimon, get on it. Start writing.
And he's like, I kind of get it. Like, I also have this pure gold coin. And I'm like, oh, it's not really that impressive, but okay.
She's like, oh, I thought it would be bigger. That's a shout out to the Herda on Star Rail, by the way. She literally says that when you start a fight with someone. She's like, oh, I thought it would be bigger.
Shout out to Honkai Star Rail for having two of the most sexual comments about biggerness. Because you have that one, and then you have when Adventuring gets shrunk and put into like the little town in Penacony, and he looks up to Dr. Reishi and goes, wow, Doctor, you're huge. Anyway,
love that one.
I love that one. And you know why it's so good? Because Adventuring knew exactly what he was saying. And Ratio was like, I'm just going to leave him here.
Yeah.
But so Nefer ends up leaving with this guy. And as she starts to leave, Sino stops him and her. And he arrests him for having this unmarked gold coin, which makes him a traitor. And, Sino interrogates a bit, and we find out, that he is supposed to be meeting with a contact, and we find out where they're supposed to be meeting. And I forget if Wanderer's been with us the whole time or if he kind of just showed up.
He just shows up.
Right? Like, I was like, okay, stalker boy. But we decide to send Wanderer to go scout, and Paimon volunteers to go with him. And we're like, okay.
Yeah.
Sure. And even Wanderer is like, what? is wrong with her. So Wander and Paimon go, and he can tell that something is off with her. And he's like, what's on your mind?
He's like, I have 5 seconds that I'll care. So spill it.
And Paimon's like, nothing. And they kind of go back and forth. And he goes, listen, you never leave the Traveler's side, and you volunteered to come with me. So what is going on? We're stuck together. So if you want to talk, I have no choice but to listen. So Paimon asks him if he thinks that she's useless.
It's so sad. She's like looking up like a little forlorn puppy and is like, do you think I'm useless?
And I was like, until you pulled out the notebook. So she explains to him, that in Nod Krai, she realized that she really can't do anything when we're all in danger to help. And she said she was just so scared when the Traveler got kidnapped by Dottore, and she didn't know what she could do to even try to help the Traveler. And she always feels like such a burden when all she wants to do is feel useful, and instead she feels useless. And I made up my own quote for Hack Guy, which was, boy, do I know that feeling.
Yeah. It's basically, though, what he kind of says and like insinuates there, like, oh, you came to the right place, kid.
Is that the voice? For
Imagine he's like, you came to the right guy.
I'm your man.
You want a cigarette?
Let's get you a beer.
And in this moment, he does actually say, when you start doubting yourself, you have 2 choices. You can give up or you can change. And as this pep talk is going on, they also have a realization that nothing is happening at the area that they're staking out. And something should have probably happened by now. And the whole thing feels really off and also familiar to Scaramouche. So we decide to head back to the mausoleum. Back at the mausoleum, Nahida is thanking these 3 guys, the 3 pillars, the muscle men, for their help. And they're like, listen, a pep didn't fully heal you, Nahida. And, we're very honored that Deshret's alliance with her is allowing them to help during this catastrophe. And they ask Nahida, like, what her plan is for this whole thing. And she says, Irminsul's been around for forever, but after the dragon's time, and once the Primordial divided the Light Realm, Irminsul was really made into just an info hub and not what it used to be. She explains that after what went down in Nod Krai, they've actually been very vigilant in Sumeru about Irminsul.
Yeah, and she reminds us again, which I'm glad they keep sort of driving this information about Irminsul home, because you can tell, and the Light Realm, they keep bringing up the Light Realm, so I know they're like going to get further into this, I think. Mm-hmm. But she says in the Times of Dragons it was less significant, and that the heavenly principles, when they arrived, the power of the Light Realm was divided into elemental energy, which we originally learned from the, what's her name, Lord of the Night in Natlan, that angel.
With the long ass name.
Yeah.
We never learned.
Yeah. That first dropped that lore bomb, that the Light Realm was divided and split into the 7 elements. And Irminsul was at that point refashioned into a device that records and preserves all information. So again, they're saying the heavenly principles came in and they basically revamped Irminsul into what it is now.
So after she re-explains this stuff about Irminsul, she says that she thinks, because of all these safeguards they've had up since the Nod Krai business went down, that the intruder must have entered Irminsul through their death and is using their death to fuck shit up.
And we're all like, yep, we know.
And this is when I'm like slamming my fist on the table, like, God fucking damn it.
Death is supposed to be death.
Especially for this motherfucker. Like, of everyone that I would like to just die and be dead, it's him. Bring back anyone else, for the most part.
And how did he maintain all this power after dying? That's odd.
Because all the segments are there too.
I think he planned for it, honestly.
Yeah, Pantalone kind of goes into some of that later when we officially learn that it's Pantalone. Nahida says that soon after the intruder entered Irminsul, she actually lost access. And that's really why they need Aru. And the pillars are like, do you know who the intruder is? And she's like, I have an idea. And right as she goes to mention the asshole's name, the ground rumbles. And we get a cutscene of Irminsul cutting through the surface to Teyvat, like fully expanding into Sumeru. And we all run outside to see Irminsul in the air, and we are shook. And Collei is like, Master, what the fuck is happening? And Tighnari does not know. The pillars see this, and they're like, oh shit, we get it now. Keep doing your thing, Archon. Go back to Aru. Get this thing done. Nahida explains everything happening with the tree is the doing of Dottore.
By the way, she says that the tree that, the person who invaded Irminsul, aka Dottore, is forcing the tree to reveal itself, which means that whatever experiment is being done, is moving into its next stage. So it's kind of like upping the ante and the tension.
And this is when Nahida tells everyone about Dottore and his past. His life is antique, his crimes against humanity. And Toph is like, oh yeah, I remember meeting him in the desert once. And Paimon asks how Dottore could do this all if he's dead. And Nahida suggests that he must have loyal followers in the Fatui who are continuing to follow in his footsteps. And Nicole confirms that she saw Fatui forces were in Sumeru City, and from what she can tell, some evil branches of Irminsul are starting to grow off of it, and things that do not belong to this world are starting to show up. So KFC.
Yeah.
The lettuce parasite.
Anthrax.
I think anthrax might be in this world.
Yeah.
Might be from Alice, but I'm not sure. Wanderer also tells us about him and Paimon's experience and how they think the mole was always meant to like disappear. He says he knows someone who has always worked with Dottore and works just like this. And we're like, oh, do you know the pants man?
Do you know Panties Man?
Do you know Panty?
Little Panty.
Little
It's
Panty?
a reminder too that Wanderer still has his memories from when he was a Fatui Harbinger. So he knows all of these people, even though they don't remember him.
I love it for him so much. He's like, these assholes every time.
Yeah.
And they're like, who are you? So we all get together and we're trying to make some sort of plan. And Nahida says that the following groups are going to have to get their asses in gear. So our first group is Kaveh and Alhaitham working on the Aru renovation project. She's basically like, Godspeed to you both, which kind of sounded weird coming from a god. Sino and his team, who it seems to be like Sino, Sethos, and Hakai, they're gonna go get the materials needed to modify Aru. Dory, Feruzan, Collei, and Nicole are gonna do something with the statues of the Seven. I didn't really understand that. Dea, Candace, and Nefer are gonna go negotiate between parties.
With their titties.
With their titties. Tighnari will be providing support as needed. And Nahida and the Traveler are going to the Natland border. I wonder why.
And they're not bringing Paimon.
And we're not bringing Paimon.
Because they don't want Dottore to spy on them via Irminsul, which
Yes.
I was a little confused. At first I was like, I guess we know why Dottore wouldn't be able to spy on Traveler since he's not in Irminsul, or she. But with Nahida, I'm assuming that she still has some kind of connection.
She
to
doesn't
Irminsul?
actually go.
Yeah, it's a projection of her that goes.
Oh, got it. Okay. I missed that.
And after all of us are done with our jobs, Nahida's going to have some people go with her to the Eternal Oasis. So we start with Sino's crew. And as Sino's crew, we fight for things to get their cores. And we learn that Hakai and Sethos both never had Akasha terminals, which makes sense. And I'm sure all the Hakai Sethos shippers were hankering on every word said during those moments. We then go to the group of Dory, Feruzan, Collei, and Nicole. Tighnari happens to also be there at this point. We find out that Feruzan has made a ton of devices that are similar to the Akasha terminals, and Tighnari notes that Dory paid for a lot of it, and she's very bashful about that. She does not want people to know she uses her money for good. Tighnari also adds that Nafis said that the process of turning the light realm info into elemental energy is highly classified and shouldn't be widespread. And I was like, I wonder if Albedo knows this from like his time in Nod Krai with everything with like the bubbles and whatnot.
You know what? I was reading this science magazine. It's called New Scientist. And at the back of it, they do like a little quiz of just science questions. And the one that I was reading the other day, the question was, what is albedo a measure of? Do you know the answer?
Amanda's love.
No, it's something with it's the soil, something with the soil.
See, I was thinking that too,
Yeah.
but it actually said it's reflectivity.
Oh, that's bullshit. Reflectivity, and he has an imposter of himself. Stop.
Because I think I think in alchemical terms, like that's more like historical, like alchemy stuff from the past of like what people thought. But I guess right now, like in current day science, it's a measure of how reflective something is.
How albedo is your water? Oh, I can't wait. I'm going to be a nuisance to everyone.
What is the albedo of the light realm?
What is the albedo of your mirror? And I'm like, oh, the sticker on the mirror?
I love those earrings. They must have a really high albedo.
Disco balls are so albedo.
What would that measure on the albedo scale?
10 out of 10, just like everything. So we also find out in this moment that Pharazôn and Tighnari have some pretty different beliefs on the importance of life in a greater situation. Like Pharazôn is like more like the if we lose someone, we lose someone. Tighnari's like, no. And Tighnari also says that sharing knowledge is a way to fight against fate, which I was like, you're literally talking the way that people talk about forbidden knowledge, Tighnari. Be careful. And Tighnari's trying to decide whether or not he's going to stay with them, and Dory ends up keeping him to help her calibrate some of the equipment. We cut over to Kaveh and Alhaitham, who are looking at the parts and transcribing more. Once Aru booted up, the line, humans may not read what is written by gods, except by not reading, pops up. And then it says, victory should not be easy to attain, for it symbolizes divine wisdom. Knowledge must not waver, for it has external borders. And they kind of see this as a metaphor to a chessboard. And our three muscular pillars explain that we need to complete a quest on a chessboard in order to completely overrun Aru, and that it's going to be kind of dangerous.
And they are loving it too, because that their favorite pastime is playing chess.
Mm-hmm.
They're very Ningguang, Beidou.
But I think Hermanubis was all about the cards. I think this is what Toths or Krakow says. Cards. It's like, what?
And it's like, of course, Sino, Hermanubis.
Yeah.
So Kaveh at this point basically tries to self-sacrifice. He's like, I'll do it. And Alhaitham is like, chess is actually a game for two, so you'll need my help. And I was like, oh, smooth, Alhaitham. And this is actually when we find out through some conversations with the trio that Marok is made of Deshret's favorite construct. Because Kaveh pulls a Marok out, and they're like, oh my god, it's Deshret's favorite construct. And I was like, what? And we go through this whole puzzle thing, and long story short with the puzzle is that they do make it through, and they survive, and they live. And Alhaitham asks them if they can expand the defense shield on Aru by making it compatible with other devices. And that is when we cut to the Traveler at the Natlan border. Nicole had sent word ahead to Mawika to get her help. She also mentions a lot of Hexen Circle members are currently busy, so they can't really help, and that's why she's here in Sumeru. I was like, okay, Nicole.
I love it that Nicole is like the worldwide walkie-talkie for everyone all of a sudden. Like, why is it taking her so long to help us?
Mm-hmm.
And where was she before Nod Krai?
Yeah.
Like, was she with Alice at the border? Like, I got a lot of questions.
I think so. I believe she was. I think Alice was like, you need to go help those fools.
Well, yeah, once her daughter and her nephew were involved, she was like, go.
Yeah.
She was like, Albedo's there, go. Goldie will kill me.
Like, Albedo created a person.
Shit. I forgot I let him do that. So we get to the border, and the border is super glitchy, which I was like, And of course, Mawika pulls up on her motorcycle, hella cool, whips off the helmet. And we're there with Hologram Nahida, who apologizes for not being there in person, and then explains like some of the stuff going on with Dottore. And, she mentions that the Traveler doesn't get recorded into Irminsul as a descender, and that's why we're here. And since Mawika also doesn't get recorded into Irminsul because she just goes directly into the ley lines because of all that bullshit, Dottore will never know that this interaction happened.
Convenient.
Nahida mentions the border rule is from the Heavenly Principles, like this whole thing going on with like the shield and the border around Sumeru, and how this is a protector. So if, Irminsul ever gets destroyed or blows up, it kind of like was my thought was Irminsul's going to blow up. And she was saying that this shield gives the rest of Teyvat time to catch their breath before they have to deal with whatever happened in Sumeru. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so the time bomb is ticking.
Yeah.
And that's when Mawika's like, so I guess you need my gnosis. And we're like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, I don't really care about it. And you could just have it. And we're like, no, we're just going to borrow it. She's like, no, just have it. The gnosis just enhances my natural abilities.
Yeah.
So I really don't need it.
She's like, I am super awesome without it. So,
And And because the traveler isn't of this world, she's able to break through the barrier enough to get the gnosis. And then she uses the power of friendship and pyro to put the gnosis in her butthole.
Yeah, or inside her titty, because that's apparently where you carry everything. Swords, gnoses. I was just like, she's standing there. For one, Moiko's like, here, catch. Why? We're standing 2 feet away from each other. There was no reason to just throw this gnosis that's really important right now. But they're like right there. And like Traveler's like, oh my God, I can hardly catch it. And it's like, you could touch her right now. You're right there. Just take it from her hand. And I was like, you are being reckless for no reason.
That's like me. If someone tosses something to me, I panic. I'm like, all of my trauma from grade school and middle school comes back to me. And I'm like, oh my God, that was terrifying.
Yeah, it's exactly what Traveler did in that moment. But like the Traveler's like, okay, but now how am I going to go across the other way? Oh, I know. I'll just think of all my friends and it'll absorb inside of me like the moon marrow as I'm holding my chest.
Mm-hmm.
Then she's like, okay, let's see if this worked. She goes through, and I'm sorry, I keep saying they go straight through the thing again. And the look on her face was as if like she is astounded that this could even happen. Like it is ridiculous. She is just like, oh, I made it. It's the most dramatic 5 minutes.
Wouldn't it be funny if it didn't work?
Yeah.
And like the gnosis couldn't pass through and you just heard this like
clink, 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 clink. That would be very funny.
And that's what alerted the Fatui.
This whole interaction, I was like, it cracked me up. I was like, this is like, we need some sleep. Everybody's been awake in Sumeru for really long.
So, the traveler then leaves and returns to the mausoleum where the traveler and Paimon go to talk with Nahida. Paimon is very nervous, Nahida seems on edge, but Nahida's like, I believe in our people, I believe we're gonna do this. And that's when Hat Guy shows up, and Nahida's like, oh, he can totally relate to this conversation. And he's like, I was just trying to pass by. But Paimon calls him out. She's like, we're on the top floor of the outside of the mausoleum. There's no way you were just passing by.
Yeah.
And he kind of just eye rolls.
But he's like, you fly. Like, I fly. I can fly. Like, is it really that surprising? Like,
he's like, yes.
I'm into this like bonding that Paimon and Wanderer are doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's like working on me a little bit. But I love this part because it's like when you're watching a show like a Buffy or something like that, or Lord of the Rings or something, where it's like the episode before the finale where everyone is like, it's the night before the big event and everyone is like talking to each other and like comforting each other and like feeling nervous and going over the plan. Yeah. Like it's good atmosphere building.
Mm-hmm.
Collei's like, I brought juice to everyone.
Yeah.
You have like Kaveh and Alhaitham talking, Sino, Tighnari, and Collei, and that's when Collei's like, I brought juice. I made juice from the juicer that I got from Sucrose.
And then she's like, and then Madame Farazan like recreated it like really quickly and is just passing out juice to everybody. Like Farazan doesn't know what to do with herself, and she's an old lady, so she's like
such a grandma.
She's like, I need to give everybody juice. Is so funny.
And Collei's bonding with Sino over feeling so small but having a great power within her. Nefer and Nicole are having this philosophical conversation, and Nicole drops that when angels draw too close to humanity, their wings burn away and the bright flames of awareness, and they fall to earth.
Sometimes Nicole speaks and I'm just like, what?
The way she says it too is so just like matter of fact, and this is what happens. There's no foreboding, there's no like emotional type of cadence to it. It's just like, yeah, when an angel draws too close to humanity, their wings burn away in the bright flames of awareness and they fall to earth. And Collei's like horrified probably.
Mm-hmm.
Collei internally screams, externally like, mm-hmm.
And Nicole's basically like, that's what happened to me after spending so much time with humans. I lost a lot of my former glory. We're like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Girl, I've seen your wings. What are you talking about? No. But so at this point, like Brandon said, we get kind of the moment where we get to go talk with everyone and listen and see what's going on. And you can go talk to Kaveh, who is like super happy that the project is done. Kaveh then goes over to Al-Haytham to give him some water and offers to get him food. And Al-Haytham bluntly goes, "Are you nervous?" And Kaveh's like, "Yeah." And Al-Haytham's like, "I don't really worry about things that I can't influence." And Kaveh asks if the Azar situation was like this for him. And he says, yeah, yes and no. The enemy is stronger now, but so are we. And they have this like really cute moment about like the end of the world and being there together. And Kaveh mentions that Al-Haytham always comes off older than he is, because of course he has to sneak in the "you're younger than me" comment. Nefer and Nicole, they're discussing time and how time can render memories insignificant, and how Nicole doesn't want to lose her memories. And Nefer's like, "You really just seem more human than most humans." We then bump into Hypatia. If you remember, Hypatia was our girl who drugged herself a little too hard to the sun during the opening of the Sumeru Archon Quest, and she went into an unconscious state. And Hack Guy infiltrated as Scaramouche, and then he tried to kidnap her and instead struck Tighnari with lightning. So Hypatia runs into Hack Guy, the guy who tried to kidnap her, and he's kind of like, "Oh." And she's like, "You seem familiar." And he's like, "I have no idea who you are."
Yeah. You've never seen me before.
And that's what she's like, "You're Hack Guy." And he's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, I was up late last night helping the Dendro Archon. I lost track of time." And he asks her about her work, and he finds out that she's actually really good at what she does, and she seems like she's doing well and really proud of herself. And he's like, "Oh, thank God I didn't fuck her up too bad." Then you have Candace and Dea, who are sitting on a ledge on the outside skirts of the mausoleum. And Dea is like, "I really want to drink." And Candace is like, "Maybe we should pray instead of drinking." And that's when Dory shows up, and she tells Dea that she has some of the perfume stocked up that she likes, and she's going to give it to her for free because of all this bullshit happening. And Dea and Candace apparently rescued one of Dory's shipments for her last month. And because of that, Dory's been contributing a lot to the desert to make life better. And, Dory's very bashful. She's like, "I told you not to tell anyone about that. Now you're saying that here." And then this is when Dunyarzad shows up. And she's so excited to see Dea. And she's excited to know she could do something to actually help those who helped her. And so Candace and Dunyarzad pray while the others just kind of listen. And then you have my favorites, Cyno and Tighnari.
Mm-hmm.
And Cyno's like, "Tomorrow's move is after sunrise." And Tighnari's like, "Yeah. Don't let the pressure get to you." And then that's when Collei approaches with juice and water for them. And they're like, "Who's making juice at a time like this?" And this is when you bring Farazan comes into play, and Collei's like, "Oh, well, I brought the juicer that Sucrose made me." And that's all Farazan's been doing.
It'd be funny if she was like, "The goddess of flowers, that's who."
That
Yeah.
the snark comes out. Her inner Tighnari comes out in that moment. No, she's like, "I brought the juicer that Sucrose made." And I'm like, "Oh, of course you did. I forgot about this juicer." And she's like, "And that's all Farazan's been doing with her nervous energy." So Cyno's like, "How have you been doing, Collei?" And she's like, "Well, I feel weird about, being gifted the remnants of a god and this god." And Cyno's like, "I know the feeling." And he says that Collei should apply for Spotamod. He brings it up. He's like, "Now that you know more, you should apply for Spotamod." And Tighnari is like, "No, she's going to Emerta. Stop it, Cyno." And that's when Farazan approaches with more juice and then quickly leaves. And so Cyno continues talking about how weird all of this is. And Collei's like, "Yeah, I feel weird talking about all of this." And Tighnari says we can always discuss deep issues with one another. He explains to her that being upset over something isn't childish, and that she was the victim of a terrible crime, and it's normal to struggle with the fallouts of it, and that she has absolutely nothing to be ashamed of. And Cyno adds that no incident is truly resolved until the victim says that it's over. And I was like, what a nice message for them to send out into the ether.
There was a lot. I feel like there were, throughout the whole thing, there was a lot of those moral of the story is XYZ. They were really pushing that through, which was nice.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that it's my boys and my girl, my little family. They get to do it all. But anyway, so then we go on to the next morning, and it is time. The 3-pillar muscle men are talking about freedom with Nahida. And this is when we see a flashback to them talking about the meditation that Hypatia did back in the Sumeru Archon Quest. And how through her meditation, we know that we can connect to Irminsul through Aru without Akasha. So we modified Aru, merged it with the Akasha, and we've given people new terminals. So people have been given a lot of new terminals to wear on their ears that are supposed to work. The goal of this new terminal is to connect to Irminsul, not to get knowledge. Kaveh adds that when they evacuated the House of Dana, they took many things, including the main terminal for the Akasha, and so they have that as well with them. And Nahida adds that, you guys should be prepared because we might have to just shut down Irminsul. We get a nice little cutscene of Nahida, Nicole, and Collei working together. Nahida making the new Akashas and the people begging Irminsul to stop being bad. And, everyone's like yelling and chanting. But Dottore is not very happy on the inside of this tree. We have to shut down Irminsul. It does come to that. And if we do that, Dottore won't be able to know what we're doing. So Nahida explains that the next part of the plan is that we have to she has to reach the Eternal Oasis. So Toph borrows Nefer's chess set in order to connect to Deshret's big chess set.
I was a little confused, by the way, about why they needed to involve the Eternal Oasis. I'm assuming it's because Deshret created it.
I felt like it was the reconnecting of the trio, because Deshret created it, and he gathered as much of Nabu Malikata's remains as he could and put it in there. And then Nahida representing Rukkhadevata. Like, it kind of felt like the power of the trio was being brought together. And also, time stands still in the Oasis. So I'm not sure if Irminsul has a way of getting there.
Mm.
Okay.
I just kind of felt like it was one of those, like, magical, powerful places.
That's kind of how I was looking at it, too. Like, that it's sort of like a conduit into Irminsul, but also Aru. Like, it's sort of like the third point of a triangle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I also felt like there must be a connection to Irminsul through the Oasis.
Yeah.
Because it is kind of like a shoot up. It almost feels like they shoot up into Irminsul from the Oasis in the end.
Mm.
Yeah, Nahida does. Yeah.
But that's the goal. We're going to the Eternal Oasis. We're going to shut down Irminsul so Dottore doesn't know our plan. And we're going to connect to the big chess set of Deshret's out in the desert that we see all the time. That's annoying. Meanwhile, we get a cut to Pantalone, and he's being a motherfucking creep sitting in the sanctuary. He gets a report handed to him, or told to him, that their desert spy was captured, aka the guy with the real gold coin. This is when Pantalone takes his cape down and we finally get to see him. And he mentioned that he's been operating at a loss for centuries. Ever since Dottore deposited his personal belongings at Northland Bank, he's had to be the executor of Dottore's will.
Yeah.
Right.
He made a backup of himself and stuck it on in there. He's like, here, hold on to this in case I need it later. Such a weirdo.
And I guess this explains why, like, how Dottore is able to do what he's doing after dying inside Irminsul, because Pantalone took this, like, data backup that Dottore gave him and put it into the ley lines.
Yeah.
Which was part of their contract.
Yeah, per the contract that Pantalone and Dottore have, this final data backup had to be implanted in the ley lines. Dottore then glitches and talks to him, calling him nitpicky on funding. Because he's like, ugh, I was hoping that all this would pay off all the money Dottore owed the bank. But it didn't. Dottore says to Pantalone that every day since they met, Pantalone has been living on borrowed time.
Mm-hmm.
And Pantalone's like, yeah, you got me to stay alive, but I became a harbinger all on my own. Pantalone continues saying that Dottore's soul was split into two, and one half was the one that we saw in Nod Krai, and the other one was stored at Northland Bank. He mentions how Dottore hates all of his segments, despite being a segment himself.
Yeah.
Saying that Dottore was made by Zandik, who he also hates. So I was like, wait, what is happening here?
So Zandik created the segments and was like the original. And this Dottore is one of the segments, but hates all the other segments, including the original.
Yeah, including Zandik.
Which was just such a crazy, like, oh, so you are the second harbinger, you were the second to join, but you're not the original version at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was like, oh, this is really, like, fucky.
Dottore also confirms that to achieve the segments, Zandik had to freeze time, which, how did he do that?
Mm-hmm.
And part with a portion of his soul, and also comments that at some point Pantalone's business failed and he was framed by a gang and sold to a medical lab as a test subject.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Like, that's how they met?
So was Pantalone sold to Zandique's lab?
I think Zandique or Dottore, yeah.
I assume so.
Also, Dottore makes a comment when he's talking about the whole like freezing and parting with portions of his soul. He says a soul living forever in the past inevitably holds different views than he did in his later years. The same thing that completes me also restricts me. So the idea that like as you change and grow, you would have different opinions, and it's restricting him because he has different opinions than the other segments.
Now, do the segments age? They don't, right?
I don't think so, based on what we see later in the cutscene.
Since they're like he had to freeze time and part with a portion of his soul, I'm assuming that that portion of his soul is frozen in time.
I believe so.
So Pantalone also says in this moment that the reason he keeps telling people that he works for Dottore, like when we ran into him in that one area, is because it looks better for international affairs than being like, actually, I'm another harbinger.
Right.
He's like, I don't want them to think that the harbingers are fucking shit up, but it looks better if an ex-harbinger subordinate is trying to fuck shit up.
Right.
Pantalone and Dottore go on bickering a little bit, but Dottore mentions that Pantalone is only going to have a few years left to live now that Dottore is dead. He says living and dying together has a way of binding two parties together rather closely. And this is what also confirms that him and Dottore are both humans and that they don't like being under someone else's control. And that control in this situation is the heavenly principles, and that's why they've been trying to find a way to break the laws of the world, because they both despise them because they're controlling them, which is interesting considering they both work under the Tsaritsa. So they don't like being controlled, but it might say something about the Tsaritsa at that point.
I mean, and to be fair to the Tsaritsa, I remember there being something said about how as long as they're working towards the Tsaritsa's goal, she doesn't really care how they do it. So they kind of operate with a lot of freedom. But yeah, I mean, they are still kind of subordinates of hers. He also brings up the cigarette, and Dottore asks, why do you insist on ruining your lungs after I replaced them? So that's interesting.
So when Pantalone hears that people are approaching the city gates, before he leaves, he says to Dottore, if you do manage to create a new world, perhaps you could plant one outside my office too. And this is when you get a Q&A with Pantalone, because Dottore asks him to stay in the city and install us, and you can go up and ask questions to him. So when you have this quick Q&A with Pantalone says he doesn't understand why people blindly follow gods, and that he pities people who befriend people who ascend to goddom. In which case Dottore is like, don't be so self-doubting. Which I was like, what does that mean? Dottore also asks how Pantalone's doing, and Pantalone says that after Dottore's bullshit, he and Pulcinella were called to the Tsaritsa to answer for themselves, and that Pantalone blamed everything on Dottore, saying that he was just following orders. And then that's when you bring up the fact where Pantalone is like, man, I can't wait to go home and have a cigarette. And he's like, bro, I gave you new lungs. And so this is when we cut to Traveler, Hakai, Candace, Dea, Tighnari, Jeht, Rahman, and Cyno showing up at the city gates. And Tighnari says, I wonder how many people could say they stormed a city twice in their lifetime. I was like, Tighnari, so real.
Not Kaveh.
He's not even here this time. And also Rana ends up being there too. Our girl from the Aranara quest who gets her vision.
I was so excited, and I love it that she still has her little hatchet.
Yes. And this is when Hakai answers Tighnari storming the city, and he goes, I hope this is my last time. We also have Banu with us, technically, one of the 7 pillars of Deshret. He was one of the statues because he is represented by the design on Candace's shield. So he is able to talk and hang with us through the shield, and Dea has the other statue guy with her because he's actually her shoulder cuff. So we were able to bring some of the pillars with us. Cyno informs us that there are troops at every entrance and they're going to attack while the Traveler, Hakai, and Paimon go to the House of Dana's side door. Remember, the House of Dana is like the library in the main area of the school. First fighting group is Cyno, Dea, Candace, Jeht, Rahman, and Rana, and they're able to secure the fort for reinforcements. Jeht asks Tighnari how he's doing, and Cyno is like, don't underestimate him, Jeht. He's great at his job.
He's so pissed.
And Jeht is like, Jesus, I was just trying to make sure he was okay.
Yeah.
Chill.
He's so mad about that.
Also, I'm sorry, but Cyno versus Jeht, my money's on Jeht.
I don't know, man. Not with the power of her Manubis.
Yeah, but Jet's got the power of lesbian rage.
So Tighnari, Hat Guy, Traveler, and Paimon, we head up to try to get to the House of Dana. Tighnari's trying to help us pass through the terrain silently using a cluster leaf cultivation, which I thought was kind of fun. So while we're sneaking around the back, Pantalone actually shows up to Sino's group, and he's like mumbling and stalling them. And this is when Sino realizes that Pantalone is just a hologram. And after he threatens us with war, bloodshed, and death on our friends, Sino was like, no, you're not real. This cuts back to the Traveler and crew, where we send Tighnari back down to Sino, and we hope that we're going to be able to make a connection with Irminsul. And I did write in my notes that I was very worried about Tighnari's safety in this moment. I felt like if they were going to do anything, it'd be to my poor boy right now, who had been like on edge the whole time. Paimon decides that she's actually going to go back with the others so the Traveler doesn't have to worry about her, which I thought was smart and cute. And they have like a very cute reflection moment between Hat Guy and Paimon. And he's like, Paimon, you really do deserve to be in the academia, like, just like me. Like, we've both grown so much. And I was like, cries. Because I forgot Paimon joined the academia.
And Paimon's like, I'm a college student now, which was Alhatham's idea.
Alhatham loves Paimon. He just won't say it. And this is when we go to Irminsul and we go into it. And Traveler tells Hat Guy that to not even think about sacrificing himself for the greater good. I'm like, don't do it. And he's like, fine, sure.
We're like, yeah, we know you.
He's like, eye roll. We know in this moment that Irminsul looks so different than the last time we were here, and it truly does. Hat Guy is like, please don't touch the red. It's definitely Dottore looking for us. So we start looking, and we end up getting trapped by some of the red, and that's when Nicole starts talking to us from the Eternal Oasis. She's like, listen, I can't intervene directly, but I can guide you. And so she does.
Yeah, and she says that tracking us from the Eternal Oasis, like being in the Eternal Oasis, makes it a lot easier. So there definitely is like a connection between the Eternal Oasis and Irminsul. And I guess it does make sense for them to be there because it's also, created by Deshret, and he created Aru. So I think that is sort of the right avenue of thinking. Because at first I was like, why the hell are they in the Eternal Oasis? What does that have to do with any of this? But it makes more sense to me now.
It was a fun callback to bring it into. It felt like, we're bringing everything else in.
Yeah.
We might as well figure out a way to bring the Eternal Oasis in.
It all converges. All the storylines and all the characters.
Yeah.
So, Nicole's like, I can't intervene, but I can guide you. And she guides us while Dottore is pursuing us. And I was so stressed in this moment. Were you guys also stressed in, like, this part?
Yeah. I don't know how many times I hit the red.
I was panicking. And then that's when Dottore cuts our connection to Nicole. And I'm like, no.
And he finally shows himself.
And I was like, ew.
And
then he shocks us by revealing that he knows who Scaramouche is.
Right. I was like, seriously? And then I'm like, well, is it because when that segment was made was when there was a Scaramouche? So he didn't forget because that part was in the bank? And it's like he has all of his memories from that moment, but he then learns, he knows what Scaramouche did to become Wanderer. But like, did he just learn that afterwards when he was like, why is nobody talking about this Harbinger over here?
I think doesn't he say that he pieced it together before?
Yeah, he says it was like really easy, but I don't believe him half the time.
Well, I think what we have to remember is that we know they used to send the Fatui used to send Scaramouche into Irminsul to gather intel and info and learn more about things. And we know that there are things that aren't in Irminsul that the Fatui know, such as the Descenders and who they are. Now, while we know the Descenders don't get recorded into Irminsul, we do know that other things do. And so I would like to believe that the Fatui have some other way of accessing backlogs of Irminsul, whether they're doing something like Nahida does with the children's books or whatever it might be. But Dottore, when he does approach us, says that he knows Hat Guy is Scaramouche, and says that after seeing Hat Guy in Nod Krai, he knew he had to find out who he was and made sure that it happened.
Wild.
Because also you can't assume, I guess you can't make the assumption that the version of Dottore that was stored on the hard drive in the bank doesn't know who Scaramouche is. Or I'm sorry, knows Scaramouche because it's like an older version, because he knows what happened in Nod Krai. So it seems like that data file was constantly updating.
It kind of felt like a cop-out to me that he was able to figure it out. like, I guess he's just that much of a genius, but he's basically like, I figured it out by observing you and Nod Krai and like all of the stuff you were doing, and then just put all of these different clues together.
And he says that it would have been more surprising had he not managed to figure it out. I was like, you cocky little son of a bitch.
Even from the grave.
Even from the grave.
But he does say, don't worry, I won't restore any of the traces that you erased about yourself. But he takes pleasure in knowing that Skara won't ever be able to make up for any of his mistakes from the past.
Yeah.
Like, wow, way to twist the knife.
I'm going to twist the knife. Many knives. And this is when we fight Dottore, and there's like a crazy fight. Takes on all these different forms of like different things that we fought. And eventually Nahida joins us and we all work together to kill Dottore.
Yeah, we do. So when we're doing the battle, Wanderer distracts him while Traveler like affixes this device onto Irminsul. And then meanwhile, Sino, Thoth, Nicole, Collei, and Nahida are in the Eternal Oasis doing some kind of mojo. And they're standing at the seats of Rukkhadevata, Nabu, and Deshret. So I thought that part was interesting because you kind of have like Sino and Thoth representing Deshret, Nicole and Collei representing Nabu, and Nahida representing Rukkhadevata. And that opens a secret door and commences this data extraction, pulling the energy from Irminsul and sending it into Aru. And Dottore feels pain during this. And that's when he like summons a bunch of orange cubes and sends them flying at us, which, by the way, reminded me of Honkai Impact.
And the unknown god, the shade.
Kiana, yeah. Her shirt.
I was going to say the first scene.
Yeah.
Not Kiana. You were so quick. Kiana, yes, Amanda. Moving on.
Kiana. Kiana Kaslana. But Nahida, so then Nahida zaps herself through the energy beam that is going like from Irminsul to Aru, and she zaps herself through it, which takes her from the Eternal Oasis directly into Irminsul. And then like with the wave of her hand dissolves the orange cubes that Dottore tried to launch at us. And then Dottore like powers himself up and continues to fight, noting that we're extracting the data from Irminsul just to drain his power. So, and I just appreciate them sort of explaining what's happening during this fight because it's also fast.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then after fighting a while with Traveler and Wanderer having like, we have this like dual elemental burst attack, which is really cool. And then Dottore destroys the floor that we're all on. And we start plummeting through the depths of Irminsul. And I'm like, wow, Irminsul's really big on the inside.
Yes.
That's what she said.
Oh my god.
I didn't think it would be bigger. So while we're falling, Nahida summons the Pyronosis and commands it to destroy Irminsul. And Renova appears to her, calling her Blessed One of Wisdom, Mahaku Saladhama, which I'm like, have we ever heard that name before?
No.
And asking her, like, are you certain you want to exercise your authority and destroy Irminsul? And I was like so shook at this part of the scene. And then she seems to like appear as a symbol alongside the rulers of time and life. Did you guys like this part?
I didn't.
No.
Because gold was there.
I was just like, how many fucking variations do these bitches have?
Yeah, they're like symbols.
Yeah.
One's an hourglass, so I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that's the ruler of time.
Yeah.
And then the ruler of life is like this golden flower.
It's Albedo's fucking symbol.
Yes.
It's on my phone case.
Oh my god. That's a nice little tie-in.
No.
And then you have the like, it almost looks like the Fatui symbol is the ruler of deaths.
It makes me think of Hu Tao.
Sort of like three, or no, I guess there's four little things on that one. But yeah, it's one's blue, one's yellow and blue, and one's red. And Renova reminds her that it represents her roots and finest accomplishments? And does she truly wish to abandon the very thing she has always fought for? And Nahida says yes, because it's been corrupted beyond saving. And then the Shade of Time speaks up and reminds her that Irminsul is the original tree of Teyvat. It is the means by which the heavenly principles maintains fate itself. The 7 archons should honor and revere it, for their authority was bestowed upon them by the heavenly principles. And Nahida does this like really impressive conversation gymnastics to sort of get through to them and talk her way out of like around it. And she's like, well, it's because I revere Irminsul so much that I want to protect the people that Irminsul exists to protect. And the Shade of Life says that planting a seed begins the chain of cause and effect. Since you have become a great tree yourself, why should the loss of another tree be anything to fear? Till we meet again, Lord of Dendro. And then we kind of like snap back into our fall, like our never-ending fall through the depths of Irminsul. And then the first flame, the cleansing fire, starts spreading and burning.
Yes.
And so Nahida grabs Traveler and Wanderer and magically gives us the ability to fly.
Through Irminsul.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, yeah, like Nahida's a full-blown superhero in Irminsul.
Yeah.
When I was watching this part, I was like, so is this just because she has inherent Irminsul powers, or is it the power of Pyro? Because remember, like she just activated the pyronosis, so that means the friendship, like just touching your friends means you can do anything.
The power of friendship and pyro.
That's literally what it is.
So we all begin flying back up to escape when Dottore uses some kind of tractor beam on Traveler and starts pulling them back down. And we're like, what the fuck? And then Nahida and Wanderer, you know, just zoom through space and time and snatch us back away from Dottore and saves us as these souls, I like to call them Irminsuls, appear behind Dottore. Now, were these his segments or were they just random souls?
I thought they were his segments because of the creepiness of it. Like they were pulling him down into them.
Yeah.
I also thought it was his segments.
So they pull him down into the flames, and that's the end of the fight. And that's when we cut to this flashback, question mark.
Wait, before we see the flashback,
Yes.
can we just say how good did it feel to watch Scaramouche get one up on Dottore?
Yeah.
Like to finally be like, fuck you, bitch. You ruined my whole life.
It was great. I do wish that Collei could have been involved more.
Yeah.
Because that would have been nice, but she has a nice moment later.
I know, I always said that, like, I really wanted Tighnari and Cyno to be involved in, like, Dottore's downfall, too. As the, like, protective fathers.
Yeah.
So I was also, like, a little disappointed. Like, I wish that Collei could have, like, kind of pulled the lever, but, like, Scaramouche set it up for her, and, you know, her dads were there defending her.
Right. Yeah, like, I wanted Collei to be involved, but it's also, like, you can't help but feel protective of Collei, so it's like, do you really want her to be involved in killing someone?
Right, and witness that. That's like an Angel. When we watched this one episode of Angel where Fred wants to kill this guy who kind of unintentionally intentionally did a lot of torturing to her, sent her to that other realm, and Gunn is like, no, you can't do that to yourself. It will ruin you.
I'll do it.
Yes, it's kind of a similar idea.
So we cut to this flashback.
Is it a flashback?
Yeah, I think it is. This part is a flashback.
I went back and forth so many times. I was like, it's a flashback. And then I was like, it's not a flashback. Then it is a flashback. And I was like, I think because of the last thing that he says makes me think that it was real. Well, go ahead.
I think it starts as a flashback and then it cuts to present day. Like we start with this flashback of Pantalone sitting with Dottore and Dottore's playing the piano. And he's doing this after Northland Bank wanted an evaluation of the trustee. This is after, like, right after they sign, or I guess right before they sign the contract. And so a condition of the contract is Northland Bank wants an evaluation done. And Pantalone says that he told the bank this nice story about a young scholar from a merchant family in Sumeru. And Pantalone says that the post-expulsion story is much more interesting. And Dottore asks if he means the human experiments or the elixir elixir of immortality. And Pantalone says, oh no, the part where you died. And Dottore then recaps that the 35-year-old segment thought of himself as Dottore, reserving the name Zandik for the original specimen. And of all the segments, he was the most selfish. And after his expulsion, he joined the Fatui, studied Elazar in great detail, and gathered his resources. So this wording was like a little confusing to me because I'm like, so was it Zandik that joined the Fatui originally, or was it this 35-year-old segment? I'm assuming it was the segment.
Yeah, I think it was the segment.
So Zandik turns to Conrian technology to create the segment. So that's interesting. So Conrian technology was able to freeze time and separate souls.
What the fuck? Well, we know that soul severing also happened in the Narcissus and Kreutz Ordo.
Yeah, that's true. And they were using Conrian technology. So Zandik creates the segments, but this doesn't stop him from aging. And then, still thanks to Snezhnaya, he found the perfect base for his experiments. And then a perfect partnership materialized at a crucial moment. Pantalone teamed up with him when they both realized they needed more time. Fortunately, Zandik gained the extra time he needed, which I'm assuming means created the elixir of immortality, but I don't know. But then no matter how much the elixir he took, he continued to age normally. So then on the morning he turned 85, he collapsed and his segments just sat there, leaned over him and watched him die instead of helping him.
I love it.
It was disturbing.
And Pantalone apparently showed up just in time to see this happening and then see the segments dissect his original body.
Yeah. How disturbing did that have to be? Just randomly walking by and seeing because there's some really funky looking segments and they're just all there with scalpels let's pull ourselves apart. Yeah.
That's literally the moment where I'd be like, not today, dog. Yeah. And I cup of coffee in hand. I'm like, I'm going back. This is some bullshit you would pull, but I want to be here for it.
I guess Pantalone was there for the elixir. Pantalone asks Dottore in this flashback what any of this has to do with depositing all of his data at Northland Bank. And Dottore says that it has made him cherish his time all the more. And Pantalone says, I guess you have a sense of self-preservation after all. And Dottore chuckles as he says that he supposes his funeral will be a grand affair indeed. So this is sort of the setup of just them talking about the past, getting all that past info, seeing how fucked up the segments and Zandik and all that was, and how Pantalone was aware of all of it. And because of this contract that they had, this was when they signed this contract, and now he knows that he has to do this thing and submit the data into the ley lines. So that's when we cut to present day with Pantalone and Dottore, who's sort of just, I guess, a projection or in his head, talking about their shared sense of self-preservation in front of the burning Irminsul tree.
The one that Collei dreamed of.
Yeah. It was finally that payoff of watching Irminsul burn, just like in Collei's dream. So Dottore says that when they first discussed the elixir of immortality, Dottore had assumed that Pantalone wanted it because he needed more time, but now wonders if that's actually true. Which I'm like, didn't you get lungs? I don't understand.
Yeah.
How that wouldn't be true. But he says he himself abandoned his fear of dying long ago when he first started his experiments. And Pantalone tells him from the beginning he never thought he could win this game. Dottore says now that he's dying, no one will be around to create more of the elixir. So Pantalone's remaining stock will only last him a few more years. So that explains all of these clues that they've been dropping. You only have a few more years now. It's okay. He was getting a supply of this elixir and now there's not going to be anyone to make it since all the other segments are gone and this was the last one. So Dottore says his experiment in blasphemy has finally come to a close and he says goodbye to Theophan.
I was like, no, not this, not another name.
Theophan. That's such a fun name to say, though.
I immediately stopped and looked up, and I was just like, "Now is that Xingqiu's brother? Do we know his name?
What does it mean?
Who's Theophan?" Who the fuck is Feofont? I'm like, why do you have 35 names?
He doesn't have that many.
No, he doesn't. He's Regrator, Pantalone, and Feofont.
And Xingqiu's brother.
And Xingqiu's brother.
Does it have a real meaning? Wait, Theophon or Theophan?
Feofont is was a Greek artist, but he was also an archbishop in the Russian Orthodox Church many, many moons ago, who worked under Tsar Peter the Great.
Theophan Bistrov.
In Greek, it can mean manifestation of God.
Theophan Davitaya, a Georgian geographer, and Theophan Prokopovich, a Ukrainian theologian. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Theophan of Poltava, the Russian one, doesn't look anything like Pantalone, just so you know, because there is a picture of him online. His many desperate efforts to expose Rasputin's manipulative nature to the last Tsar and Empress. He was unable to forgive himself for having introduced his former protege to the imperial family, blaming himself for the overthrow of the House of Romanov, the October Revolution, and the subsequent Red Terror. Theophan spent many nights lying prostrate before the altar of St. Alexander.
Excuse me?
Wailing about his guilt. Okay, that doesn't sound anything like Feofont from Genshin.
Yeah, I think the most important one is just knowing that it can translate to manifestation of God.
Mm-hmm.
As someone...
Do you know what Tiffany translates to? Or the meaning of the name Tiffany?
No.
In Greek, it means close to God.
Oh, shit. Do you feel close to God?
I do. Especially when it's Dottore.
Which one? I was going to say
why?
which god.
Why Dottore? No.
It also could mean cheesecloth. So, you know.
Oh, now see, I like that more.
You like that I'm cheesecloth?
Yeah. I wish that's what my name meant. That's basically what my body is.
In Latin, Amanda means worthy of love or lovable. Also, I recently looked my name up and it told me that a common nickname I could have used for my name was Amy. And I was like, what?
Really?
Where?
Oh, mine means hill covered with broom. Great. Great. Oh, wait. It can also mean prince or little raven. I like those.
Yeah, little raven.
No, I like the hill covered by broom. I'm locked in on that
Hill
one.
covered with broom. What does that mean? What is that? A different kind of broom?
What are you, broom boy?
Broom boy.
Broom / gorse shrub. So it's like a plant.
Oh, okay.
Not
Not a literal broom.
Not a broom that you sleep with.
Oh, okay. It's pretty, the broom. It's a Scotch broom.
It's also called gorse.
Gorse Washington?
Gorse Washington. That's me.
Gorse geisha?
Gorsish. I'm gorsish. Gorse geisha.
But yeah, they do their whole goodbye, and then Nahida talks to Dottore too.
Yeah, we don't see it, right?
Yeah.
All we know is she tells him that his experiment and his results don't belong to him. And she goes, goodbye. We will never meet again.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it, by the way, when he disappeared after Feofon was talking to him. He like poofs. It's like a poof of embers.
Yeah.
It was like, tell Senora I said hi, bitch.
These bitches burning up.
Now, after this, we go back to Caravan Ribbit. It seems to be suggested by some conversations we have that the 3 muscle pillar men are out vibing in the world now. One is planning to go visit the Temple of Silence. He might bring the other 2. Sethos has also invited Candace and Dea to come visit since they wear emblems of 2 of the pillars. Toth and Krako tell Nahida they plan to stay at the Temple of Silence for a bit, but they aren't moving their statues there. Yeah. Nahida says it must be a family visit since Herb Anubis made the temple. And they talk some jargon and chess with Sino, Layla, and Nahida. We then see Kaveh and Alhaitham at their house. And Kaveh is very distraught by all the damage done to their home and to other people's homes during this fight. Alhaitham says that Kaveh's sentimentality causes him a lot of anguish. But nonetheless, he offers to help Kaveh clean up. And Kaveh decides he'll help Alhaitham fix up some of his books that got damaged. Dory and Nefer we see together, and Dory's mad because Nefer told everyone all of her secrets.
She's yelling, and Nefer goes, "You realize you sound like a choking cow." It's like, what? That's gonna be my insult to people. You sound like a You do realize you sound like a choking cow.
But never ensures Dory that empathy is good and people will like her now that they know she has empathy. Like, put your dark days behind you, make honest, good friends. And Dory's like, I blame Lauma and Nicole for making you care about people. And this is when the librarian from the House of Dana approaches and gives Nefer a book called Reasoning Knows Not Time of Day, but Suspense Always Follows a Blizzard.
Sound familiar?
No. Why? Why? What is the name of that book?
That's the book that was passed around that had circles and everybody was talking about.
I hate it. Even Nefer is like, why is it so long?
Why was the end of that? That was the end of the summer event?
It was Bottleland.
Bottleland. Oh, which we have an episode on Bottleland too, don't we?
Yeah.
I have no idea anymore.
I love it. I love it how horrified Dory is, by the way, when she realizes which book it is.
Yeah.
She was like, that was a total scam. It was like, yes, you got scammed for once.
The fact that she's also like, I know that Never really likes to read books that other people hate. So
I love that. Such an interesting quirk about Nefer is that she likes books with bad reviews or like just like sort of mediocre books.
Yeah.
The best part about that whole book was when Sino was like, that's Tighnari's pen.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, okay, you guys aren't married, got it. Nefer then gives the librarian incense in returns, and it seems like they're like old friends, which was kind of fun to see.
Yeah.
Now we go and we pop some parties at Poppers in the library because Collei has become an official full forest ranger.
Woo-woo.
Yay.
She is no longer a trainee. Unfortunately, Sino was called away, so he's not there, but he's going to return later to celebrate with them. But before the celebration, Tighnari, Sino, and Collei have actually decided that they're going to go to Mondstadt. So Nafis says when they get back from Mondstadt, we're all going to party. I'm like, okay. A few days after the events of everything, we go to check on Nahida, who is with Hat Guy. And he says, Nahida was just expressing concern for my physical and mental well-being. I was like, same, honestly. He claims that he isn't really fazed by everything that happened with Dottore, and he just wants to know his true intentions. Everyone honestly is quite impressed by Hat Guy's positive outlook for once, and when we ask what's next for him, he says he's going to finish his studies, so good noodle.
We say that we can tell how much he's changed, and he wonders if someone as old as him can really still grow. And I love that they're again driving home this parallel like between him and Collei. And I would also say Paimon, like the three of them are kind of having the same parallel storyline. Like it's a little more obvious with Collei, I think, or more emotional at least with Collei, but I love that, you know, that's sort of like the takeaway of this. And Nahida says to think of it as being a late bloomer. And I was like, oh my God, Wonder is coming out as a lesbian.
So then we asked Nahida how she's doing, and she's like, well, you know, we burned Irminsul for 7 days and 7 nights. And I was like, what? Oh my God. Can you imagine being a firefighter in Sumeru?
Just making sure nothing but Irminsul burns.
And she says, you know, that happened because of the Gnosis, and now Aru is going to shoulder all of Irminsul's responsibilities.
Yeah.
She does mention that a lot of the vital info in Teyvat was preserved because we acted so fast, and that parts of Irminsul that were underground were maintained better, so they were able to preserve some stuff. And Nicole severed Nahida's connection to Irminsul and instead put it on Aru, so she now has a personal connection with Aru.
Yeah, and Paimon's like, angels can do things like that? And I'm like, you are an angel, Paimon.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
She doesn't know yet. Let her figure it out. So Nafis then comes to find Nahida and us, and he says that they got a message from Shesnaya. The rooster, aka Pulcinella, sends his sympathies and usual pleasantries. He says that Dottore acted rogue and doesn't want him to represent the Zalpolarni Palace. It also notes that Shesnaya knows they aren't blameless and will deal with the subordinates of Dottore in accordance with their law and will supply some relief funds and supplies to Sumeru that are already en route. Nafis also asks Nahida if they can have a large meal together now that this is all over, so they can like get to know each other and everybody. Nahida goes, we can eat anything but tomatoes. And she says that because she remembers hearing Cyrus and Zaha Hadid fighting about them. And she doesn't want more arguments. And this is when we go with Nahida to Natlan, us and Paimon. We go to the stadium and we meet with Mawika. And she's like, girl, I know it's gone. Like,
Yeah.
I'm assuming since Irminsul is gone, my Gnosis is gone, and I don't care. I'm just happy to see that you guys aren't hurt.
Is this when they lay on the ground and talk to him?
Yes, we lay
Yeah.
down and chill and vibe.
She's like, let's just bask in the sunlight.
Nahida at this point also admits to us that she knew Collei had fragments of Nabu Malikata in her, but she never told anyone.
I find that shocking.
That she knew or that she didn't tell?
No, that she knew, but that Liloupar didn't.
Well, Liloupar is a little selfish.
Well, yeah, but she's also obsessed with the goddess of flowers and is made from her.
Yeah, but she only met Collei once as, like, that was being announced, basically. Like, Nahida's gotten to know Collei.
Yeah.
And she is the Archon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm assuming she's more powerful than Liloupar.
I hope so.
but
Liloupar.
maybe it's because Nahida's not evil.
Yeah.
So, the end of our quest is when 2 days later, we go to Mondstadt with Cyno, Tighnari, and Collei. Sucrose meets us at the front gate. Collei tells her all about how Farazan loved the juicer. And then Albedo shows up too. And Albedo's like, let's do what we did last time you guys were in town. And I'm assuming he means camp on the beach. Which I was like, this is so cute. Like, I love that, like, Albedo is like, this is my awkward person, Sucrose. This is your awkward person, Collei. They are friends. I will now bond with you. Like,
and it cut when they right as they're arriving, it sort of has this overlay of Collei writing a letter to Sucrose, like before they leave, like telling her how she became a forest ranger and they're on their way to Mondstadt and she hopes that they can meet up. And just like when everyone got together for Windbloom. So they're sort of like playing her like voiceover of like this letter that she's writing to Sucrose as like they're arriving on the scene.
And what's cute too is so like Albedo's like, oh, are we gonna do what we did during Windbloom and go camping? And then he asks about their secret identities. And I don't know if everyone remembers, but in the last Windbloom where Albedo, Tighnari, Cyno, Collei, Sucrose were all hanging out, Cyno and Tighnari came with like these fake identities the Cyno created for them just so that they weren't like on the job. And so when Albedo brings this up, he's like, oh, so what are your identities this time? Tighnari's like, please don't remind him. And Cyno goes, well, the only identity you need to know is that Collei is officially a forest ranger. Like, yay. So we go into the city and we actually run into Nicole in the library. And we find out a friend of hers had a wish that wouldn't come true without Collei. And her friend is over at the Windrise tree. So we go with her. And who is her friend? Liloupar. Liloupar wishes to see Nabu Malikata once more. And she wants to take the shard from Collei, see Nabu, and then die. So Collei agrees to letting this happen. Nicole helps. And as Liloupar removes it, her dads are watching very closely.
Well, so I love this scene so much because I also, of course, love Liloupar, and I love that this is also like she would be like the fourth character that this overarching theme applies to, who has like experienced growth like later than maybe she should have, and she tells Collei that her mistresses, like, you know, she's like my mistress, meaning Nabu, that her final trace in this world was left within Collei. And then she tells Collei that the ordinary turmoil that people experience has befallen Collei threefold. And she guesses that Collei would like to return to an ordinary life. And that's when she says, you know, I wish to see the goddess of flowers one final time to give everything to her. And then asks Collei if she can do this for her. And Collei kind of like immediately agrees.
Yeah.
And Liloupar marvels at the fact that all Collei knows about her, Liloupar, is her punishment for the many evil deeds that she's committed.
Yeah.
And yet Collei is still willing to help her.
And she's like, sure.
Yeah. And she's like, life has been cruel to you, but you've still learned how to be kind. And to repay that kindness, she too must play her part. So she says, you know, she has the power to remove the god remains from Collei in exchange for seeing the goddess one last time, and then she can die in peace. And of course, Collei's like a little freaked out by that at first, but she realizes like after she gives the speech that like it's actually doing something kind for Liloupar.
Yeah.
And it's allowing Liloupar to do something kind for once
Yeah.
in her many, many years of life. So, you know, it's basically a win-win, even though it's a loss for me because I don't want Liloupar to go away.
Yeah.
Now I was like, bye.
She says that they'll be using their futures to fulfill each other's wishes and that it's a noble act, a beautiful and secret transaction between two women, which I thought was nice because she's like calling out Collei's maturity.
Yeah.
Because this is like Collei's like growing up. Like this is her like moving into a new phase of life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's when she channels the God Remains into Liloupar's bottle, and she says thank you as her light fades away, and then the bottle just falls into the grass.
Now, I thought it was very beautiful, and I did like the fact that it was like women helping women type of thing, but why did they go to Mondstadt? Like, I just didn't understand why all of this happened in Sumeru. All of them are from Sumeru, but they went to Mondstadt.
Well, I think the idea is that Collei, Cyno, and Tighnari were going on vacation. I think that Collei, I think that all three of them needed a fucking break after everything that happened. And their idea was to go back to Mondstadt where they had friends. Hence why, like, Collei writes Sucrose ahead of time. Like, you know, we're celebrating my promotion. We're celebrating life. We're celebrating Sumeru not being gone. Like,
yeah.
So I think
and Collei's journey starts in Mondstadt.
Yeah. So I think, like, for Collei and them, it was like, we're going to Mondstadt. I think Nicole just happened to talk to Liloupar later, and Nicole tracked them. I was like, oh, they're in Mondstadt. Do you want to go for a ride? Like, we'll go over to Mani.
But I do feel you, Tiff, because at first I was like, oh, they're just going to end it in Mondstadt because the writers know that everyone feels nostalgia the most when we're in Mondstadt.
I mean, I was happy.
But once I sort of thought about it, I was like, well, Collei's storyline, it really did start in Mondstadt. Like her transformation from who she was began there. And it's because of like the people in Mondstadt that she ended up where she is today. So I thought it made sense when I actually thought about it.
It made me happy. I was like, Albedo and Tighnari.
The end is so beautiful because Nicole asks if she's okay. And she tells us now that the God Remains are gone, she doesn't feel anything. She doesn't feel any different at all. And Nicole is like, I feel so happy because I helped fulfill 2 human wishes. Which was so cute to see like Nicole achieve something, you know?
Yeah.
And to like be excited about it. And that's when Sucrose shows up and she's like, guess who I brought? And we see Amber there to say hi to Collei. And that was such a sweet moment. Again, because of the manga, Amber's like Collei's bestie, and we don't get to see enough of those two in the game. And Amber heard that they were doing some sort of secret event and she's like, I hope I didn't miss out on anything. And Collei just tells her like, oh no, we were just saying goodbye to an old friend. And Amber asks who, and Collei says, the old version of myself.
I was like, yes.
It was very sweet. So then it cuts back to her writing that letter to Sucrose that she came back to Mondstadt to say goodbye to her old self. She knows that after this, she'll be gone, and thinking about that makes her feel a little lonely. And she knows that the weakness that once kept her company will one day be gone too. But somewhere in her heart, she feels a great sense of joy. She's always felt like she wanted to take the step to walk towards the new her. And the camera's like hands out as like the whole group is like walking side by side like through the grass. It's such a sweet moment. Very wholesome.
It was so emotional at the ending, you know, because it is like, it's the closing of so many Sumeru chapters, but to see it be the close, first off, to see Dottore gone sheds tears of joy. Like, I was like, yes, thank God. But then to see Collei get like this full circle moment and like you said, to really be finishing her story in Mondstadt with Amber, you know, like I wish so badly that Kaya and Lisa were there too, because they were also such big parts of Collei's journey. And I think sometimes in the manga we forget that because everyone was just so obsessed with her and Amber hanging out. But like Lisa was the one who figured out that what was going on and called for Cyno. now.
Mhm.
And Kaya was the one who purposely tested Collei's strengths and abilities so they could later save her. So it's like, I wish they had included those two. I know I'm biased with Kaya, but I really think Lisa and Kaya should have been there or gotten a moment with her. But still,
Yeah.
just to see it come that full circle and to bring in the Windbloom stuff and to be like, man, she just had this god remain taken out of her. She watched this evil dictator bottle lady die, but now she's gonna go camping again, and then she's gonna hang out with her friends, and she's gonna play TCG, and then she's gonna go home and be a real fucking forest ranger. Like, it felt so good.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a well-earned ending.
Yeah.
I loved seeing, you know, all of these characters. I wish we gotten more Sorush.
Mhm.
I wish we got even more Jeht.
Yeah.
I wish we
Always.
got more Rana. Like, I wanted to talk to her and like find out what she's been up to.
Yeah.
But overall, it was so great. Like, they included so many people, like Hypasia. You know, we got that Hypasia moment with Wanderer. We know that Jet's doing okay. Like, we basically got to meet all 7 of the pillars of the Deshret's pillars, except Hermanubis, but
We know him.
we kind of know him, yeah. But there were so many things like that the other thing I wish we had gotten more of was Isaac.
Yes.
Like, what if Isaac just showed up like in drag to like
yeah.
distract Pantalone's goons? Like,
Yeah.
over here, I'm Nahida, come and get me.
I mean, it would have been perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish, you know how sometimes after you finish like an event, and I know these are more limited time things, but when you finish like a limited time event, you can go and talk to people usually afterwards. Like, it's like you can find random people kind of floating about. I wish that had been an option here, but you had to do it. Like, I do wish you could have gone and found Rana, like you said, and Jeht and Sorush, and really just found out what they were doing. And it would have been a fun time for them to bring in some other like NPCs and stuff too. Like, what if Sorush brought another Pari with her? Or what if like she, you know, brought one of the like Order of the Skeptics people with her? What if Rana came with the Aranara that she's been traveling with? Like, that would have been very fun to see.
Yeah.
But overall, I mean, I give this like a 10 out of 10.
Oh yeah, this is one of the better Archon quests, I think. And I didn't think they would be able to like top all of the Nod Krai stuff.
Yeah.
But this just felt so epic, and it felt like there was such movement in all of those storylines and such closure that it gave me a lot of hope about like how the storylines are going to eventually come to an end, because eventually they have to resolve the main story.
Yeah. It's very satisfying to have that closure.
It felt like finishing like a really good book.
Yes. That is a perfect way to put it.
You know, people always say online that anytime you return to Sumeru, it feels like you're like returning to a family, and that they are one of the few character groups that truly feel integrated with one another. Like, even though they all don't necessarily know each other, like personally, they all have connection to one another, mostly through the academia, but like they've heard of each other. They know someone who knows someone. Like, so coming back to Sumeru always kind of feels like you're coming home to like your extended family in a way. Not like how Mondstadt feels like coming home to me, and I'm sure to other people, certain areas feel that way. But like coming to Sumeru, you know who you're dealing with. You know the characters, you know the personalities. They're so well written and well put together that it didn't surprise me that this outdid Nod Krai in my head. Like, Nod Krai was amazing and I loved it, but this was like, it pulled at a lot of your heartstrings, you know, like they really pulled pathos into this. And I think that helped because it was like all these people you knew already. And I think the real lore nerds appreciated this with everything they pulled in from the world quests. And you have all that like backstory because you've done the world quest, that all these little things meant so much more to you than to like a more casual player as well.
Yeah.
I do think it sets up a lot too. I mean, knowing that Nicole can like do everything she can do, finding out that Irminsul is gone, and that the 3 of the Shades warned Nahida about that. Is that going to cause an issue with the Heavenly Principles? Kind of coming back to like, what is that statue that is inverted that Nahida brings up and then never says again?
Yeah.
So it is like, what else is going to come from this is very exciting too.
Yeah.
And Amanda, what I'd like to know is, you know, is one of the things that you loved about it the most the fact that Nilu was barely in it?
Yes. I like that she only showed up in the nightmare.
Did you write that?
No, I didn't. Not this time. But don't worry, my fingers will be going strong tonight on AO3. And then Tighnari had mental breakdown. We could have lost our daughter, Sino. And then that bitch Nilu, thank God she stayed clear. I would have fought her on site. On site.
And then Farazan pops in the corner. Juice?
Yeah.
Yes.
Juice, anyone?
I keep forgetting about you in the episode we've done on you.
No juice for you.
Damn it. That's okay. I only like orange juice, and I have a feeling I'm not getting orange juice. On that note, before Farazan comes back with way too much juice for us all, and we're already drinking cider here, I think that's all the time we have for today. Kirara didn't show up with mail today. We gave her the day off. There was an anthrax scare, so we have no mail from Travelers today. But we really appreciate everyone listening to our Season 7 finale.
Thank you.
Cannot believe that we are finishing our 7th season and coming back for Season 8.
Yes. It will be a fontanalia of joy.
One could say we'll be sailing into the new season.
Sino will be strong in Season 8.
But not in Episode 1.
Blast off into Season 8.
One may say you might need an elevator to help you out. But Season 8 will be coming to your listening devices soon. Give us a little time to get ourselves together and catch up on some stuff in the games so we can bring you some accurate and updated lore. But make sure to follow us on Instagram, Tales of Teyvat Pod, and Twitter, Tales of Teyvat. We're also on Blue Sky, Threads, and YouTube under the same usernames, where you can stay up to date on everything Tales of Teyvat, what we're doing in the off season, and when our next season will officially launch, and you'll be able to find out what our first episode is going to be all about. Travelers can also feel free in the off time to check us out on Ko-fi, where you can buy us a cup of coffee, or check out our merch store. All funds go to make sure that our podcast can run. It pays for our editing softwares, our web hosting, and making sure that the Twink Tank staff is properly paid. We don't do minimum wage here, guys. We do above it. We want to make sure that Aventurine, Kave, and the other people I hire occasionally for gimmicky things like Miss Hina are properly paid. And, we pay taxes there too. So, we'll see you soon.
Bye, herpetology nerds.
Oh my God.